Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexi out here. It's Saturday morning, and the Raptors lost to the Knicks last night, and we're 0-6 against the Atlantic Division as of last night. And I'm telling you, that's fishy to me. That's so fishy, especially in this league where every single team in the NBA, except for the Raptors, has a victory over a division opponent. Even the Detroit Pistons have a division win over a division opponent, and the Raptors are a perfect 0-6 wrong, losing against all division Atlantic Division opponents so far this season. Of course, the two games with Nick Nurse in Philadelphia, those were both the second nights of a back-to-back. Both of the games, both the times we had to play Philly so far this year, they are on the second night of a back-to-back. And then Boston, funny stuff, fishy stuff with those games too. There's been a different kind of refereeing style when we play against Atlantic Division opponents. First of all, we tend to get problematic refs, first of all, for these games, whether they're Ed Malloy, Tony Brothers, James Williams. We get problematic refs for these games, and then we have really weird momentum shifts and changes with these refs present also. If you were watching last night with your eyes wide open, you would have seen the Raptors go to halftime 57-57 against the Knicks, tied up, come back from halftime, and the Raptors actually were kicking the shit out of the Knicks in the first couple minutes of the third quarter. We actually were like playing very solid defense, and we're causing turnovers, and we were getting out and running, and also we were playing very well. Well, all of a sudden, there's a mysterious stoppage of play. And it's not because somebody made a challenge. It's not because of anything other than James Williams wants to go over and watch a video to see if something is flagrant or something like that. This is the biggest way that the refs are manipulating the game at this point, is controlling the pace and the tempo by stopping the game whenever they want. I mean, seriously, they can stop the game and just kill it for 5 minutes, sitting there watching the monitors, and it really does change the energy on the court. The Raptors came out gangbusters after halftime and were killing the Knicks. In fact, Julius Randle was huffing and puffing like he was tired on a second night of a back-to-back. Well, is New York getting their ass kicked energy-wise at the beginning of the third quarter? Well, James Williams calls a whistle. And he goes and he kills the play for 5 minutes, gives the other team rest. Jack Armstrong was saying on the broadcast, oh, this is good for the Raptors. It's going to give them rest because they're tired. No, bullshit, Jack Armstrong. That's James Williams giving the Knicks rest. That if there's a team that's tired because of a back-to-back or whatever reason like that, an NBA ref can give them an extra timeout just by calling some sort of review. And on the download, they actually really measure and look at how teams are playing with their energy. They look at the players with their body language. They look at them whether they're tired and holding themselves. And in some ways, one of the ways the NBA refs will manage the game is managing people with their fatigue on the court. And if they see a team that they want to win that's getting blown out of the water, they will stop the game. They will literally stop the game and give them an extra timeout on the official's review or something like that. So there was some seedy shit going on down there at the Scotiabank Arena last night. And that is the biggest ref manipulation right there. The third quarter, stopping the game for 5 minutes for no apparent reason other than James Williams wanted to. It really hurt the momentum that the Raptors were building right away at the beginning of the third. Then you got Dante DiVincenzo. Wow. That dude, sometimes we find these heroes on other teams. The other day for the Nets, it was Royce O'Neal. It's annoying. These guys bit players that come in and for some reason they just have huge games against us because we don't find them on defense. That's a huge reason why we lost, is that their bench shot way better than we did. And, well, in some ways they deserve to win because of how we played. It's weird, though, because, honestly, I think we can hang with this team. And what part of the problem is that the referees have to do a lot of manipulation with our team in particular because we're so long. We're so big, we're so athletic, and we are super talented. And in some ways, the Raptors are kind of a person that they need to corral and kind of like govern and kind of like hold down. Because we really, if we're allowed to do what we're supposed to do on a basketball court, like if we played in a different era, if we played in different kind of settings with like the way that not the Adam Silver era with what the bullshit he wants to have happening right now, we would be a very successful top level team in this league. They really do like want to hold us back. Our defense is amazingly good. And in some ways, they have to figure out crazy ways to try and screw us up. Now, we do shoot ourselves in the foot. That's for sure. And we do need to shoot better for sure. I'm not totally blaming the refs. Let's just put it this way. We had our train go in the right direction. Well, James Williams changed the signal and he made it go a different track than the way we were supposed to go because we were heading in the right direction. Darko had them going in the right direction. The other way, like I've said, and this happened in the Brooklyn game this week, and it happened again last night. There's a lot of extra contact that goes allowed for most of the game, but then there's ticky-tack shit all of a sudden. They like to let them play, as they put it these days, not call a lot of fouls, let the physicality play through. But then they pick and choose when they do not want to let them play. A lot of that is timing and fishiness. And then once again, they can use their own frustration of the players on our team against themselves. It's a mind game. In some ways, when you're down there playing and you're trying to score and you're getting hacked and nobody's respecting that, and meanwhile, bullshit calls are happening at the other end, your sense of justice starts to well up and you get kind of pissed. And that's the way that players like Siakam and Anunoby have had to learn the hard lessons of just stay in the game, just keep playing. Because the more I get out of the game mentally, because I feel like things aren't fair, it really hurts my team. So it's a weird thing. It's a really, really underlying kind of weird manipulative things that they're doing. And if the calls aren't fair, you know that they're not fair because you'll see our players pointing at the other end. When they point at the other end, you know what they're saying. They're saying, if you're calling it here, call it at the other end too. That's all that any NBA player or anybody who watches the sport, any coach, anybody who's involved in the NBA wants is consistency. As much as we want consistency in the effort and the winning and the things that happen with the Raptors, we want consistency from the referees. That something's not going to turn into a foul later that wasn't a foul for the first 3 quarters of the game. Yeah, there's a lot of screwy stuff about last night. We'll break it all down. I've got my 5 stars of the game for the 905 win, and I've got my 3 stars of the game for the Raptors loss to the Knicks last night. It's very fishy that they're 0-6 to the Atlantic Division right now. That's very calculated. Let's just put it that way. That's very, very calculated. We're 20 games into the season. We're 9-11, and 6 of our losses are calculated losses to Atlantic Division opponents, because they want us underneath both New York teams and Philadelphia and Boston. It's very much by design. But the crazy thing is we're a good team, so it's really hard for them to keep us down, and it will be hard for them to keep us down for the whole entire season. Yeah, you may have got us right now, but I'm looking at the schedule for December, and I'm like, man, this is a cakewalk in a lot of ways compared to November. And there's a lot of good games that we can win and collect coming up. Last year in December was a disaster for the Raptors. They went on a very bad 6-game losing streak and ended up dipping down 5 games below 500. Let's hope we can avoid that. Right now, we're only 2 games below 500. And if we can win more than we lose this month, well, hopefully we can have a above 500 record around New Year's. So we'll see. We'll see. It's promising. I'm going to say that. There's a lot of games that are very gettable, and we just need to win them. And hopefully no bullshit from the refs. I'm sick of y'all manipulating our games. Holy crap. There was a lot of contact in the game last night that was bad, and they were allowing it. That knee to Siakam's head, that was fucked up. Randall saw him there. He did that shit on purpose. You can tell. They're going to say it wasn't intentional. He covered it up well enough. But honestly, there was a lot of like fucking shit like that. And then there were a couple busted lips in different places last night, whether it was Boucher, whether it was one of the Knicks, whether it was OG. There were people getting busted in the face. And there was a lot of physicality in this game last night that was just going unnoticed. The way that he was looking for a flagrant on a closeout with Scotty, but he wouldn't call a flagrant on Randall for kneeing Siakam right in the eye. That's messed up. It's really messed up that he wanted to stop it and go look and see, well, is Scotty trying to jump underneath the shooter to cause him injury? They're really screwy and crazy with some of their sensibilities about what they should investigate for flagrant foul or not. It's really dumb, some of it. Yeah. All right, let's start with the comments. Honestly, I don't want to do the stream for too long today. It's a loss. We'll take it. It is what it is. Fuck Dolan. Fuck the Knicks. And we'll just, keep going on with our season. They didn't want us to win against them. They really didn't. And part of it does probably have to do with the lawsuit. In some ways, Dolan accusing Silver of having favoritism for the Raptors, well, what's a way Silver can prove for sure? Yeah, you're going to beat this Raptors on this day for sure, because we got James Williams down there and we're going to control things the way we can and make it happen. Dana's saying, good morning, everyone. Lex, what was that last night? What the fuck, NBA? When does the CBL start? I still love the Raptors. CBL's next summer. I don't think it starts until like May. I want to say it starts in May, Dana. No, I get it. You're kind of like, a lot of people are turned off from watching the Raptors right now. It's tough to be there with them. But honestly, they're really rewarding too. And I think that there's some really amazing, awesome things happening. The game was really cool in some ways also. There were a couple of different things that happened last night that were really fun. Scotty is still showing superpowers and doing really incredible energy things on the court. There's bright spots about last night. I have to say this. The Knicks are a little bit better than they were last year. That shooting last night really helped them. It used to be that we could beat the Knicks even if they had a little bit of help from the refs, because we were just that much better than them and they were shitty. Well, they're getting a little bit better. They've stuck with their core, and Thibodeau's getting more out of them, and they're better on defense, and they're shooting very well right now. I have to say that. They were definitely shooting well off the bench, those Villanova Wildcats, DiVincenzo and Hart. Very annoying, very, very annoying. And honestly, like that he's not having games like that all the time, Dante DiVincenzo. He's not. He had a very good game against us last night, but a lot of nights he's not hitting like that. He just happened to hit it real good last night. He did. Trevor J saying, good morning, Raptors family. Good morning to Commissioner Trevor J. And here is the Trevor J Cup. Rewarded to someone after somebody wins the in-season tournament. We'll see who gets it, Trevor. Let's see. Referees in the three-point beat us last night. We did everything else better. We had 32 assists. They had 30 points in the paint. We had 60 to 48. We had 48 rebounds. Yeah. All right. I'll do the team stats since you're bringing them up so heavy. Yeah. Listen, one thing I can't fault the Raptors about is effort. Those guys were working hard out there and doing a lot of good stuff. Now, not always successfully, but at least the energy, the motivation, and the effort, and it was strong for the Raptors. We can't say that these guys aren't trying. They are definitely trying, if not failing because they're missing shots, but they are definitely out there putting effort in and motivated and trying hard. It's crazy. All right, the team stats, since Commissioner Jace brought them up first. The Raptors shot worse than the Knicks. That's an area where we lost. 50% from the field for the Knicks, 45 out of 90. And we were 44% from the field, 44 shots on 44 made on 100 shots. So, they made one more field goal than us in the end of things. Now, the three-pointers was a really big discrepancy. We managed to only make 6 free three-pointers out of 32. That's 19% from three. That is absolutely dreadful. And, we could blame a lot of different people. Some people are more supposed to be three-point shooters, and some people, or they could shoot better because we need them to, like Siakam. 16 to 36 for the Knicks and 44%. Now that's huge. That's 30 extra points with 10 more made three-pointers than us. How the hell are you supposed to make that up? How are you supposed to do that in other areas? Seriously, especially when you're not shooting well from the free throw line again, too. 12 with 17 from the free throw line, 71% from the line for the Raptors. It's not horrible, but it could be better, too. The Knicks shot 13 of 16. So they shot one less free throw and they made one more free throw than us. So they beat us at the free throw line, even though we got the line a little bit more than them. We did out rebound them by 5. We had 19 offensive rebounds, which were fantastic. We got 2 more assists than them. We had 13 stocks to their 9. We had 1 less turnover than them. We had more fast break, and we did beat them in the paint, as Trevor said, 60-48. So, we won a lot of the stats, but the key stat is the three-pointers. The three-pointer is a really overwhelmingly tough thing to make up. So it is what it is, Trevor. It is what it is. Trevor saying we made 12 free throws. They made 13. Yeah. Yeah. We could have made 3 more of the 5. Well, we would have made a couple more free throws, but it wasn't even the free throws and stuff like that. And part of it's managing the end of the game also. We let it get away from us in the last couple minutes as far as their lead. And that's no good. We need to stay close and execute and convert at the end. It's really annoying when we get pretty good like shot attempts and close shots and we don't get it to convert. We don't make the ball go through the hoop, even though we're right there and we're fighting so hard. Sometimes we're getting multiple chances because of effort and it's just not dropping through. And that's annoying. That's very, very annoying. Very, very annoying. Let's see. And Trevor's saying the referees called more fouls on us, 19-15. Yeah, there were fishy calls. There were fishy calls. Of course, we do dumb stuff like we get a travel call here. We step out of bounds here at a dumb time. There are other turnovers that are happening with our team that are annoying. Of course, Jalen Brunson taking charges is really a momentum killer also. And those are fishy calls too, because honestly, it could go either way. I know he's getting there. He's kind of set. But in some ways, I'm like, you're not respecting Siakam for the level that he is as far as things. Those charge calls were really like momentum killers for sure. And Jalen Brunson did a good job drawing them in some ways. So let's see. Trevor's saying, I'm not mad about this loss. Next time we see them, it's going to be December 11th. And me and my friends will be there to see them get their ass kicked. So Trevor's still going to be in New York City. And he's going to be going there to the game with his friends and cheering them on. All right, you go, Commissioner J. Yeah, we're going to see them again. It's weird. We got a lot of time between seeing them again and only 2 games. We're on a 4-day break. I hope they use it very well. I'm glad they're here in Toronto. Hopefully they get a lot of like a mini training camp, hopefully over the next few days. That would be great. That would be really good. I'm sure Darko's going to utilize this time very, very well to get the best kind of things out of his team in this short period of time before we play Miami on Wednesday. So, yeah, we got some days off. So my schedule coming up is tomorrow. I'm doing a Sunday special report. The Raptors, after 20 games of the season, we're going to kind of look at their stats. We're going to kind of talk about the changes from last year to this year. And we're just going to talk about kind of what we see coming up with them also, with a look at the stats and who's like leading the team in which way and what. And then on Monday, we're going to do a Monday moment and then Tuesday trivia on Tuesday. So we're on our off-season schedule at least for 3 days because of the extended break between games. So, yeah, just so y'all know, that's what's coming up on the channel the next few days. Let's see. Trevor J is, wait, hang on. I got MSJ first. Chris is here. Let's see. He's saying the refs, man, such BS. I am nearly immune to it now. The shooting as well. But if this team can ever learn to shoot NBA averages, the rest of what they do will add up to wins. This season, I don't know. Well, and like a lot of people are saying, they want to see a deal. They want to see some sort of move. I hate that the people that are supposed to be our three-point shooters are not that good at three-point shooting. It really sucks. And then once again, I see Gary missing free throws, and I'm like, man, something's wrong with that guy. Something's very, very wrong with him. I'm going to look specifically at the three-point shooting for both teams. First of all, we got DiVincenzo, 7 for 9. Absolutely killing us. All of his points from the three-point land. And those 7 threes were just daggers, each one of them. And he's a huge reason why they won last night. Josh Hart with 3 of 4, Brunson 3 of 8, quickly Barrett and Randall all had 1 3 also. So that, 16 threes from them. And then we go to our side and Scotty has half of our threes, shooting 3 of 7. He did look really good from the 3-point land. And then the other 3 is 1 of 6 for OG, 1 of 6 for Dennis, and 1 of 4 for Chris. And then the rest of them, Siakam, McDaniels, Achua, Flynn, and Trent, they're 0 for 9 as a collective. 0 for 9 from 5 of our players, and a couple of them are known as three-point shooters. Known as three-point shooters. I hate that. I hate that. I hate that so much. Trevor's saying we definitely have to shoot better or practice on three-pointer shooting or get some better shooters. Yeah, I'm with you on this. There's a real Achilles heel, the failures of Malachi Flynn, and this year, Gary Trent. Gary Trent is just not showing up and giving us consistent threes in the game. He's obviously hurt, and it's hurting his game in a contract year, and that's just a sad fucking story. Gary, fucking get your shit figured out. What is Trent Sr. saying to you right now about what you need to do to get this shit out of the mud? Seriously, I'd be very curious to hear Gary Trent Sr.'s advice to him right now. All right, let's do the stars of the game for this game. My number one star of the game is Scotty. It's no denying Scotty was absolutely the best Raptor on the court. 37 minutes, 29 points, a -7, 13 of 19 shooting. In fact, for most of the first half, Scotty had not missed, and he was like 7 of 8 at the halftime. So it's really, really good shooting by Scott overall in this game. 3 of 7 from 3. He did miss his only free throw attempt, which was a technical. And I don't totally agree with him shooting that technical. But I didn't agree with Gary shooting it one either and him missing his either. Scotty, 3 offensive rebounds, 9 rebounds to get all together, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, 5 steals, and a block. So very, very good stat line by Scott. It's just good all around. And see, that's the thing. Scotty can play super, super good, but it may not necessarily add up to winning. We need other people to step up next to him and play very well. You know, once again, the team that has more people contributing in winning ways, whether it's Brunson taking charges and DiVincenzo hitting threes, and then, Randall doing different things like getting rebounds, then it adds up to more winning because you have different people doing different things at different times that are annoying. Like Hartenstein was a factor in the game last night too. But, we need more Raptors stepping up and being factors in the game also. And there's not enough of these guys doing it. Scotty, it was really good. And my other 2 stars are really good too. And then other people are just not shooting well and stepping up or contributing in big ways like they could. All right. My second star of the game is Jakob Poeltl. Jakob continues his very good play. 6 of 9 from the field, 12 points, 12 rebounds, an assist, 2 blocks. He was solid. He was a exact equal. He was a 0, not a plus or a minus. Jakob's just playing really solid. And in some ways, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Because honestly, teams would be beating us way worse without Jakob around because they'd be using their big against us and killing us. So everybody who thinks Jakob is not necessary or somebody that it was a mistake to get, you are so, so incredibly wrong. You are so incredibly wrong. Yeah, double for Jakob, 12 and 12. 6 of 9 shooting. You can't hate on that. You can't hate on that. The dude's just solid. The third star is Siakam. Siakam did get to 20 points last night, 7 of 16 from the field. He 0 for 4 from 3, and the threes are really annoying because we do need them. 7 of 8 from the line. I like that. 8 rebounds, 3 of them offensive, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, -14 with 21 points. Of course, Siakam could play at another level even better, making a couple of the threes and scoring almost 30. But you know what? On that night like last night, he was the third best player. And he was kind of ho-hum Siakam even. There were times where he really was cooking and he decided he would take over. But there wasn't enough of that. I feel like it's like, listen, Siakam, you have a body of work against the Knicks. You went and killed them and put 50 on them in their own building last season. OG, you've had a very big Knicks game also in the last year or so. Where is the information and the knowledge from playing these teams before applied to last night? Like, seriously, you know how to cook the Knicks. You've done it in the past. Is Thibodeau coming up with a different plan that makes it harder for you to do it and replicate it in this game now? Because back in the day, when superstars learned how to beat other teams and knew how to really kill them, they used that proprietary knowledge later to come back and beat the shit out of them again. So that's what I was just wondering. Like, y'all have shown that y'all can own the Knicks and kill them, both of you, Pascal and OG. So why didn't you do it last night? Is what I would say. So why didn't you do it? You already knew how to do it. So why didn't you do it? Let's see. Excuse me. Jimmy Pope saying the bench is very bad. Yeah, it's a drop off. It is a drop off. We saw a new lineup of even more bad last night. OG with the bench. Holy crap. Was that an ugly idea by Darko? I really didn't like that OG with the bench lineup. I felt like that was like even worse than Scotty with the bench. And it was ugly. It was really bad. Some of the shit was happening like that. So, man, don't do that again. This is what I say. Don't play OG with the bench because honestly, the problem is that none of them are creating. You know, Gary, the problem with you right now is you should be the creator off the bench. You have that right to do that. You can make your own shot, but you're not aggressive in going and doing that. And then when we have these lineups, it's not like Malachi's alpha enough to go do that either. So we have like it's really on Scott if he's out there in that lineup or if OG's out there, and he's not stepping up and doing that either. So when you have a lineup of OG, Malachi, Gary, Chris, and Precious, nobody's taking over or trying to do anything with the ball the right way, like they would if it was Scotty or Pascal out there. And that's annoying to me. So yeah, we can't have an OG led team like that. People that want OG to go and do more, or people saying he's not happy with his role, well, the chances are there for him to go eat more. He's just not taking the food off the buffet table. He totally had opportunities at times last night to just be the man and run that team because he is the most important person on the court. And he just fades into the background. He doesn't do anything. He's more worried about the defense, and he just doesn't step up offensively in the way that people think he should. But, you know, in some ways he has the opportunities. He's not taking them. He's not taking them. Nako's here. Good to see Nako the Nacho. I did find it interesting that Masai said we're building around Scotty first. Scotty did fantastic. Wish we would play Grady and Otto if we're going to shoot that many threes. Yeah, I'm still mystified by Otto not playing more. I think that would be smarter. But then again, Darko's developing. Grady wasn't even with the team last night. He wasn't sitting on the bench. He's fully on 905 right now. That is a tell right there. We saw Marquise and Street Clothes on the bench, and I believe Ron was there also, maybe Javon, but no Grady. Grady was with Mississauga. He did not show up and sit on the bench last night, which I found was very interesting. He wasn't available last night. Let's just put it that way. Very, very interesting. Could be because he was tired from playing in the game earlier that they couldn't give him double duty because he did log like 30 something minutes for the 905 earlier in the day, 39 minutes in the earlier game. So it could very well they were calculating. They say, Grady, just stay home and rest and don't even come to the game because we're not going to play you. So don't even get suited up or anything. So he wasn't available last night, Gerald. I don't know if you noticed. He wasn't suited up. He wasn't even there. Yeah. Listen, a lot of people are commenting on Masai's interview last night during the game. Of course, it was a Giants of Africa game, which is a very important game. 10 years of Giants Africa. Very, very important game. And some people don't like what Masai said. Well, Masai said what he said, and that's what he's saying. And just because you don't like what he said doesn't mean that he's not doing a good job. This guy has a plan. Even though y'all don't want to see it, y'all deny it. Y'all are stupid. And you're just like, I don't see any plan. La, 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 I'm not listening. Well, he told you. He's telling y'all what he wants. Just because it's not what you want to hear doesn't mean that it's not a plan or it's a good thing that's coming for the Raptors. Because honestly, y'all are always wrong. A lot of y'all that opine on the Raptors, people on Twitter, people that write stuff for Raptors Republic, people that do any kind of anything with the Raptors. Y'all have opinions about the Raptors. Y'all are wrong all the time. And I'm going to say this once again, y'all do not know more than he does and what he's doing in his job. And what he's doing is very smart in a lot of ways. And y'all are being blind to. So, man, just because you don't get the vibe of Masai and what he's doing with this team, or you don't understand it, well, you're being ignorant and you're not opening your eyes to look at it. It's very smart what he's doing. He built our team in a way to go up against a very unfair league against us. And in some ways, he's finding really strong success regardless of those kind of things. And a lot of it has to do with Vision 6-9. A lot of it has to do with Vision 6-9. So, yeah, I love what Masai said. In fact, he answered a lot of the questions people have been asking. If y'all would just fucking listen to him, you wouldn't have so much confusion about what's going on. It's pretty apparent what he's doing. He told you. And just because he didn't say what you wanted to hear, don't act like he didn't say his plan, because he did. And you're just not fucking listening correctly, is what it is at this point. You got something in your ear. Maybe you need an ear candle. Put that motherfucker in there, light it up, and it'll draw all that wax out of your ear so you can hear Masai correctly. Because God, I'm just sick of it. I love that Masai said what he said. And I believe in what he's saying. I really do. Most people do not, but I do, because I think that it's smart. I think that Scotty is an amazing talent, and building around him and seeing if OG and Pascal are worth keeping and investing in with Scotty is a really smart thing. Instead of just throwing money at these guys and saying, yeah, you're just in, well, maybe you'll get buyer's regret. So he's on a more of a discovery mode to see what's going to happen. And listen, he's going to make a deal. He will make a deal, especially if we're spinning our wheels a little bit too much or our bench is not improving. He will make a deal. And people just need to stop thinking they know the timeline or what it should be or who it should be, and just fucking let him do his job. Seriously. He has so much pressure. In some ways, we're getting gaslighted in like 5 different directions. We get gaslighted by our own media. We get gaslighted by the NBA. We get gaslighted by the US media. We get gaslighted by other players in the league. We get gaslighted by our own fans. There's a lot of weird gaslighting going on by different people around this franchise. And I'm sick of it. Especially if you want to be a positive Raptors fan like me, we need to stop fucking letting people gaslight us. Whether it's people that are quote unquote our own fans, no. Whether it's our own media writing articles and bullshit, no. We can't let these people gaslight us anymore, and recognize the behavior and be like, you know what? Fuck you. You're just trying to manipulate my perception of the team with your article, Michael Grange. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm not listening to you. I believe in Masai, and I'm going with this team because I understand that Ed Rogers III writes your checks, and that in some ways you're tainted for what you're going to say and try and put out there about the team. It's very much in the broadcast. You hear the broadcasters, the way they talk about the team. In some ways, it's not exactly for the team. And you can see the underlying tones of either Hockey Canada or Ed Rogers in their wishes through what they say. So, all right, let's keep going with the chat. I like to see this. So many people in the chat. Click is here. Good to see original Raptor Freak Click. We are 0-6 in our division because these other teams are simply better than us. I don't believe that. They don't sleepwalk into games. They have depth. They are more balanced than we are. You see, we've been gaslighted to believe that, Click. What I just described is what's happened. You're gaslighted to believe that. We are better than the Knicks and the Nets. Both of the games we lost this week, we shouldn't have lost. They were completely governed and controlled by the refs, especially the Brooklyn game. That Brooklyn game should have been won by us. That was very, very calculated game by Ed Malloy, and the way that it happened. They had to have Brooklyn win or Boston would not go to the next round. So they were saving the Celtics bacon by holding us back. If you watch that game closely, you would have seen that we were dominating them. There's certain things that we do better than Brooklyn and New York, and that we're going to beat their ass the next time we play them. But it very much is the NBA's prerogative right now to make sure we're at the bottom of the Atlantic Division. They want us down there. They're putting us down there on purpose, and they're doing it in shady ways. If you open your eyes, you'll see it. I will say that Philadelphia and Boston are better than us. I will give that, but I will not say it about the 2 New York teams. They are not better than us. We have more talent. We are a better team. And when we get our shit figured out better, we're going to kick the shit out of both those teams. I'm not afraid of either one of them. And I've seen us dominate them just in the last 2 games in a way that I'm like, that's how it should be going normally. But if the refs are going to fucking take our strengths away from us and we can't play them normally, like the way we should be able to under the rules of the NBA, well, fuck, what are we supposed to do when they can hit us in the face and we can't fucking barely breathe on them? So I'm just going to say that, Click. You're being gaslighted to think that. I would say Philadelphia and Boston are better than us, but not Brooklyn and New York, and that these 2 losses this week have been manufactured partially by the referee crews. Let's just put it that way. They very much are channeling the water certain ways on how much they can control. So, yeah, I'm not going to say that those two teams are better. We're better than them. And by the end of the year, we will be above them. Watch in the standings. They can only hold us down for so long. And the other thing is, both Brooklyn and New York have had easier schedules, and their records look better partly because of that. And honestly, our record isn't that much further off of theirs. They needed us to lose to all those teams on purpose right now. It may have been the design of the whole schedule to say, all right, and before we do the in-season tournament play, we'll have the Raptors play the Knicks and the Nets right before the end, and we'll have them have lost to the Atlantic Division 0-6 by that time. Chris is saying, I really wonder if the NBA wants us to implode so they can move our players places. It's obvious the refs are messing with tempo and such. It's so annoying, but just NBA wide, not just us. No, they'll do it in every game, and they'll do it with intentions of helping big markets. It really does have to do with big market teams. It's not good for the health of the NBA in their mind to have smaller market teams beating big market teams and have the Knicks and the Bulls and the Lakers be shitty. In fact, they've seen problems with their economics in the last couple of years when their very big teams are not doing well record-wise. So I think that there's a more concerted effort to really bolster the teams that are big market. And one of the ways they help them is through this. It is really like, I think that in some ways they do want our team to implode. That's part of the reason why everybody has the trade talk about our good players. That's part of the reason why people in our own fan nation are being conditioned and gaslighted into wanting our guys to leave when that's not a good thing for our team. If you're a real Raptors fan, you do not wish for the exit of Siakam. You do not wish for the exit of OG. You hope that we can keep them together and build further with them next to Barnes. But if you're being gaslighted by the NBA media or even our own Canadian NBA media, you are being told that we should break them up when that's not actually the best thing for us. It really isn't. So, yeah, there's definitely forces out there that are worried because, listen, once Darko gets the system going, we get chemistry right with the premium talent and athleticism of our team, we can dominate. And they don't want us to get that to fruition. They want to stop it before that happens. That may be why partly sometimes you hear intensified trade talks about Anunoby leaving or Siakam is because they really see us getting closer to figuring it out and things clicking together. That's when they get even more whinier about, well, they need to trade because they're panicking. And in some ways, when you hear the trade talk about our team, it really is the worry of other fan nations scared that the Raptors are getting to new levels with things. Seriously. That's why they see what Anunoby does to people on the other side every single night. And they said that's too powerful a weapon for the Raptors alongside the weapon that's growing with Scotty. And we need to get one of them off there. It's a very similar trait to other teams where you may be like, we need to get Embiid off Philadelphia because he doesn't want to be there. You know, it's very much a perception propaganda war. And a sad thing is, so many people at Raptors Nation buy into it and add to that voice. And I'm like, y'all, seriously, we want to keep our good players. Do you think Warriors Nation is saying we need to trade Clay? We need to trade Clay. We need to trade Clay all the time? No, they're not. Do you think they're trying to say, oh, maybe Draymond? Yeah. But they understand that keeping their championship core people together was smart and keeping them around for a long time. I wish Raptors Nation had understood that a little bit better instead of like turning on people like Kyle and Fred and Siakam in the last years or so. Yeah. Let's see. Jimmy's saying every time our bench steps on the court, they stink the bed. Only if we had a consistent bench. I'm not asking for much. Mediocre at best. Not the worst damn bench in the league. Like, damn. Yeah, these guys are garbage. Like, honestly. And in some ways, they make each other worse. It's like your shakiness, Malachi, makes Precious shaky. Your shakiness, Gary, makes Jalen McDaniels shaky. And I wish, fuck you guys. If you're fucking not playing well, seriously, start playing these vets. I would be happier with minutes from Otto and Garrett over some of the garbage that I'm seeing from Malachi, Jalen McDaniels, even Precious sometimes. I'd much rather see a vet who's out there capable, not making stupid mistakes like travels or stepping out of bounds, that's going to possibly hit threes. You know, in some ways, Darko, I don't get why you don't play Otto Porter. Seriously, we're paying him all this money. We didn't get any money out of him, like any worth out of him last year for a whole year paying him. Now we have him healthy and you're just not even playing him. That's not on Porter then for stealing money from us. That's on the coach for not using him and utilizing and getting our money's worth from his contract. So yeah, play Otto, please. Please just fucking play Otto. How about this? You get to choose. You have to have Otto or Garrett or Thad as one of the veteran bench spots, and then you got to choose like between Jalen or Chris or Grady or something for the other one, and then maybe Malachi should not be every night. Maybe he shouldn't be every night because in some ways I get it. You know, you want to engage confidence into him and make him feel like you don't have a long leash. You can do it. You can fuck up, and I'll let you still play. But in some ways, it's not doing him any good because some nights he may need a DMP to really wake him up and fucking make him take things more seriously. I still don't think Malachi's very good. He's so fundamentally bad at times that it pisses me off. It really does. Oh my gosh. All right, let's keep going. Nako's saying Dante and Brunson are tough. Yeah, fuck those Wildcats and fuck that bullshit. Yeah, fuck the Knicks and their bullshit. Honestly, let's see. MSJ saying all the refs have to do is as you say, control the tempo our team of long forwards want to play at. Last night, slow it down and let the Knicks bigs rest and control the boards in a slower game. Yeah, yeah. If we start running, that's no good for New York on the second night of a back-to-back. So the refs will cut our fast break points. People are always asking, why don't the Raptors fast break more? Well, in today's NBA, the fast break is not allowed unless the refs allow it. It used to be that, you know, you ran up and down the court. In basketball, a big part of it was a constant fast break. There wasn't all this stoppage of play. There wasn't like all this craziness. The game was a lot more fun to watch because it had a rhythm of going back and forth to it that basketball should have. It doesn't have that anymore. There's way too many stops. And if you listen to veteran players from the past talk about it, they're like, yeah, this game's weird how much they stop the game and just have dead periods where nobody's doing anything. You don't understand how manipulative that is for a player's body and how they're trying to keep their energy up. Why do you think they keep warmed up? And why do you think they do certain things? Well, the ref can kill those kind of warm ups and energies and vibes by fucking going and looking at the monitor for fucking 5 minutes. It's very, very manipulative. And you can think I'm crazy or I'm a conspiracy theorist, but if you listen to me and you open your eyes, you will see exactly what I'm fucking talking about. If you watch the game in the way that I'm talking about, seriously, you watch the third quarter, go back, watch the third quarter, watch it from the start, see how the Raptors started, see the great energy Scotty was putting into defense and causing turnovers, see us running and getting easy baskets, and then see James Williams stop the game for 5 minutes straight and fucking kill all that kind of energy and momentum, and then dictate a pace that favors the Knicks and what they're trying to do. So it's very insidious. The league is just fucking corrupt at this point. I don't trust anything. Like I see Mark Cuban selling his team to a fucking casino this week. And I just realized the direction that this league is going is very corrupt and just kind of shady as fuck. Like, why the fuck would you watch something that where everything is maybe being determined by bettors and people with money? You know, the mafia could be determining some of the fucking outcomes of these games in really weird, crazy ways because they have these referees on their fucking payroll, like Tim Donaghy. So it's like, look, NBA, you're not going to make the Donaghy kind of allegations go away in the direction you're running your business. It's going to be even more. And the next one may be even more damaging and much worse for the integrity of your sport. So yeah, you guys are fucking up. And like, honestly, it's not just the sport of basketball. A lot of sports are in danger for this because everything's opened up to gambling now. It's really crazy and dangerous. And in some ways, it's like, why the fuck do we watch? Seriously, why the fuck do we watch if it's going to be trending more and more this way? Seriously. I mean, I want to see good basketball. I want to see fun. I want to be able to root for my team under the premise that there's an equal chance for both teams to play and win and not feel like everything's already decided because the front office wants this or the mobsters want this for their book. You know, that's really, really bad, Adam Silver. You do not understand how much damage you're going to do to the NBA in the end. And as much as David Stern built the league up and made it into something and made it huge, you may destroy it. You may destroy it in your tenure. I could see that. I could very much see that. Let's keep going. Fiercely saying, good morning, family, and happy Saturday. I'm really hoping this game was an eye-opener. Yes, the refs are failing us, but we must show up and dominate. Also, his hitting shots. Please step up. We're still early in the season. We got this. There you go. Fiercely Saucero staying positive. And I agree. There's a lot of stuff that can still happen. We just got to go through this voyage of the season and with your eyes wide open, and you'll see what's going on. Yeah, I mean, the refs are annoying for sure. But a lot of, once again, I gotta say the refs set the tone or make it harder or impede us. Ultimately, the Raptors have to be so much better. And this is why, back to Click's point, I believe we're way better than the Knicks and the Nets because they had to hold us back from beating them. And in some ways, we've dominated a lot of the teams we played this season already. Like we've dominated teams. You know, Click, you watch basketball a long time, that we are showing dominance over teams with our size and length and rebounding and defense. And that is something that scares the hell out of the league. Now, if we could just be more consistent offensively and overpowering, then we would be winning more. Because in some ways, we're leaving games open because we can't convert on offense. And man, I wish we could. When we get that figured out, we're going to be way more dangerous. So we do need an upgrade for our offensive consistency and somebody who's going to convert no matter what. Let's see. Wayne's saying, don't disagree with the referee's game manipulation, but the bench points difference was over 25 points. We don't make shots to win games, and perimeter defense was deficient. Yet we were fouled a lot. Yeah, in some ways, there's a lot of calls that aren't getting called, and we see them. We see them. They're like, but they can't play for the foul. This is one of the biggest problems with the Raptors is that they're playing for the contact instead of the basket. Don't play for the contact. Don't go into the lane just thinking I just need to get fouled because they're not going to give you that foul. They're not. They're not. They may give it to you sometimes, but very rarely. More often they won't. So anytime you go in the lane, Scotty, Pascal, OG, Precious, it doesn't matter. Don't expect to get the whistle. You either got to put it in or play through and just keep trying. You cannot get that split second where you're like, where they don't call it. You got to be robots in this way. You got to be unemotional. You got to be like, well, this is just a bullshit. And some people will say, why you accept it, Lex? You should be fighting against it. Well, hopefully Darko is fighting for you. And, at the next chance on a dead ball and you get a chance to go talk to James Williams, you walk over to him and you have a little conversation. But not in the middle of the game, not when the ball is live, and not when you have a chance to make a second effort and clean up a miss. Fucking do it right then. Get it and put it back and just be relentless. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. Kareem Thomas is saying, Masai seen that we needed help at center, and he addressed it with Koloko and Yak. We need Masai to address the shooting as well. DiVincenzo was a great pickup for New York. Yeah. I mean, it's annoying that we got beat by them. It's really annoying. I did not want to lose to New York last night. I really, really didn't. And it's weird because I had a chance to go to the game at the last second, and I regret maybe not going, but it was really too last second. I wish in some ways, I hate having that kind of regret of possibly like, damn, if you'd gone, Lex, maybe you would have helped. I don't know. I hate feeling like that sometimes. Yeah, I think that Masai and Bobby really do know what the biggest deficiency right now is. And they'll make a move that has something to do with this. It's not like they're not proactive. It's not like they're a weird GM front office where it's like we say, oh, this is our biggest need on our team. And then they go out and make a move that doesn't have anything to do with our need. And they just make some sort of move. And everybody's like, why did they do this? No, we usually see our front office make moves that make sense because they have to do with things that the people perceive that they need. That's a great thing to love about our front office is they're proactive and they're listening, because a lot of front offices in this league are stupid, and the fans may be saying something like, oh, we need this role on our team right now. And instead of going and filling it, they just go do a superfluous extra move that doesn't even have anything to do with it and is innocuous and doesn't really change anything. So in some ways, that's another thing why people need to respect our front office is they're listening, they're trying, and they're making changes, and they're bringing things in on our wish list as they can. And I'll bet you they will figure out somebody they're going to bring in the near future. I'll bet you there'll be somebody maybe by New Year's, somebody in the next couple weeks. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. I really do feel like the Raptors do need to make a trade, just like everybody else. They do need to make a trade, but it's not for me to determine what and when. It's just them. They're letting them do their job. All right, let's keep going. Jimmy's saying there was some BS calls, but we need to be better, period, especially our bench. I'm trying to defend Malachi, but man, he can't be playing like this. We need him to step up, and he's not. He sucks to see. Yeah. All right, let me go look at the box score a little bit more closely. Guys that I didn't pick as the stars, my 3 stars were Barnes, Pirtle, and Siakam. OG was, man, OG really struggled offensively last night, and in some ways, he was a real problem for us. He was not playing sharp at all. Let's just put it that way. And then in some ways, also his defense wasn't at totally the same level as he usually is. 4 of 13, 1 of 6 from 3, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers, and 5 fouls, 9 points. Some ways the fouls were a problem because he was getting picked on by the refs for trying to play his very intense defense. And, that's part of the way they may dissuade or try and cut the teeth off of an OG is by calling really ticky-tack kind of touch fouls like they were with him last night. That is the way they try and stop him from being his best. Schroeder's 3 for 10, 1 of 6 from 3, 3 of 4 from the line, 1 rebound, 9 assists, 2 turnovers, a minus 10 with 10 points. Now, Schroeder had a really good streak of no turnovers for a while, but that got messed up in the second half last night. But he had a stretch where he had 30 to 40 assists without any turnovers over the last few games. So really, really, Dennis is a mixed bag. In some ways, we're going to not expect him to shoot well every single night. Some nights he is going to shoot like he did last night. But in some ways, he still contributed key baskets. He takes some important free throws. I really want him taking all the technicals. It's fine. And 9 assists. That some of them were really nice. He wasn't as nice as some of the other games this week with the passing, like against Phoenix. Holy crap! And then even Brooklyn. But Dennis was okay. I mean, he wasn't absolutely horrible, but he wasn't as good as he's been. Also, Chris was pretty good off the bench. He was one of the better bench players. 4 of 10, 1 of 4 from 3, 2 of 3 from the free throw line. 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, a +5 with 11 points. He was absolutely our best bench player. And, the only one that really kind of kept his weight in scoring for us. The rest of them garbage. 14 points from the rest of the bench between 4 guys. That's garbage. I'm telling you that right now. In particular, Gary Trent Jr., 23 minutes and only 4 points. You're supposed to be scoring, bro. You are supposed to be scoring. We need you to carry with scoring. 2 of 6 from the field. He missed the only 3 he took. He missed the only free throw he took. 1 rebound, 4 assists, minus 18. One of the worst plus minuses on our team last night with just 4 points in 23 minutes. That's just not enough output, man. That's not enough production. Y'all be running cardio out there, fucking Raptors bench, not fucking producing. Malachi, 11 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 2. 1 rebound, 4 assists, 1 block, no turnovers. So 4 assists and 0 turnovers is nice. And a block is interesting by him. But yeah, still, this is like almost cardio, Malachi. 11 minutes, 0 points. You're an advertised scorer and you're not scoring. That's really bad, really bad. Precious had the worst plus minus of anyone on the team last night. In 17 minutes, he was 4 of 11, missed the only 3 he took, 5 offensive rebounds. I got to give him credit for the hustle and motivation and effort on that. 6 rebounds altogether, 1 assist, 1 turnover, minus 22 with 8 points. That's pretty bad. And then Jalen McDaniels, 7 minutes, 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Just not producing points, not really giving us a whole lot of stats. Any of these guys on the bench. Chris is the only one I give a pass. The rest of them, garbage. And I love you, Precious. I'm trying to stick up for you like crazy. We saw the cool footage of you and your past with Giants of Africa and how much that program means to you. We saw young Precious, the picture of you as a little child at those camps. And man, I just want you to do better, Precious. And I know in some ways Malachi's messing you up. I know it's Malachi's fault because he rubs off on them in some ways. But yeah, I'm sick of this. Y'all's bench needs to be better, and y'all need to get going in a better way. There you go. Let's see. All right, here we go. Where am I next? All right, Kareem. So Red Bull clearly made the mistake with the sponsorship collaboration with Pascal. Red Bull is Chris Boucher. He's got wings. You know what? I can kind of see that. Chris, even like if they drew him in the like cartoon form of like those Red Bull commercials, the Red Bull animation has a certain look to it. I would like to see Chris Boucher drawn in that style, and he could be in the commercial. I'm sure that it would be a very cool commercial. Now they should have done it with Pascal already, but I'm with you. I could see this, Kareem, that Red Bull, in some ways, Chris is your guy with wings. In some ways, I can see that. Dana Santibido needs to stop dyeing his hair. Oh, that's a really weird non sequitur jab at Tim Thibodeau. Yeah, he's annoying, but he's a good coach. And in some ways, the things he's doing with New York have to be admired. I would say this, that's such a hard job. First of all, being the head coach of the Knicks, it's a high pressure situation that is thankless, and you get so much grief. And in some ways, Tim Thibodeau is doing a good job. And the thing that I really am like really give him credit for is the defense. He's really gotten these Knicks players better and better on defense over the last couple years. It's the same group. It's not like they've totally revamped their team at any point over the last like 3 or 4 years. It's the same group in a lot of ways, other than Jalen Brunson, the Villanova guys showing up. But, he's getting more out of them as they go on defense. And the other thing about what the Knicks are doing so well is they really take care of the ball. And that's their philosophy. It's like if they don't cause turnovers, then they're harder to beat. So if they're not having turnovers on their side, it's harder for us to get out running. And they very much do value not turning the ball over. That's a big part of what they're doing successfully right now. Let's see. Jimmy's saying our defensive rotations out of double teams need work. There's a lot happening on our defense that is really good, and I'm like, wow, they're badasses. We see how many times we get other teams to the end of the shot clock, and they're not getting a good shot at all. They're shooting something, and somebody's draped over them. They're taking a fadeaway shot that's like not easy to make at all. So there's a lot of good stuff happening with our defense. Now, some of the things that happened last year that were really annoying are popping up this week in particular. And that's Royce O'Neal, Dante DiVincenzo over there hitting threes when they stretch our defense in the rotations. And as Yak put it after the game in his press interview after the game, is that some ways the way that New York beat us last night is they just played out and beat our rotations. That, they did it logically exactly right, where they made each pass and they calculated how to get it to somebody who would be wide open in that side and shooting that three and making it. And you have to give them credit for that. There were a couple plays last night where you saw us playing extremely good defense and playing through all of our rotations, and they just made it to the very last rotation and just barely made the 3-point shot because on the last pass, they finally got themselves freed up. And sometimes it's right at the end of the shot clock. So we really had them working to work towards getting those open threes. It's not like we were just being lazy and allowing them to hit threes. There were a few of those, maybe a couple, but not mostly. Most of the time we were guarding very well, playing very up on them defense, and they just worked through their offense and beat our defense by doing the logical thing to get the floor stretched away from one shooter on one side. And in some ways that's commendable, and that's just them, working through our defense to the rotations and getting success. So Stargate saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Blackhawk, Cool Cat, Chev, and myself were in spaces till about 2 a.m. this morning, holding it down for the real Raptors fans. Knicks fans and the negative Nancy Raptors fans were talking real saucy. I love that y'all are in there fighting the good fight. And I saw that y'all were in there very late. I'm like, how long do these spaces go? I'm like on Twitter and I'm checking the news and I see over there Chev and Kareem are in there talking, or Chev's talking and Kareem is listening. I could see the names in there. And I'm like, holy crap, it's like 1 a.m. and they're still in there talking about this game. This game was at 7:30 and it got over around 9:30. And they're still in there talking 4 hours later. That's pretty impressive. And I appreciate all y'all that do the stuff that we would do here on this channel in those spaces, as far as just being a voice of reason, a voice of positivity, a voice of like, come on, have some respect for yourself and pick yourself up and stop fucking, like being so negative towards our team. Knicks fans coming in there talking trash too. They feel all big in their britches right now, talking trash in different places. Knicks fan hasn't had a lot of weight to throw around in a long time. So they may be getting annoying as the Knicks get better and better. So in some ways, that's part of the reason why I don't want them to do better. It's just because we don't need more New York fans acting like Sixers or Celtics fans right now. Yeah, I'll bet they were saucy. And I appreciate everybody in there fighting the good fight. Chev, Blackhawk, Cool Cat, yourself, Stargate. I appreciate you guys. And Kareem. Monique is here. Good to see the super fan, Monique Lawrence. Good morning, everyone. Let's see what Monique is saying. It jumped right when I was about to read it. I'll make sure I read it. Don't worry, Mo. We got you. Let's see. Good morning, everyone. No. Wow, you guys filled it up a bit. A lot of opinions on today's game. We'll make sure they're all read. Good morning, everyone. I'm officially afraid coming out of halftime from now. We do good for first half, not second. Good game, Scotty. It's weird because I feel like Darko's really good at adjustments at halftime. Like we see kind of things that aren't working well for us in the first half, and there's changes in the next half. And we see very successful changes where we come back against big deficits and won. But, this is a different thing. In some ways, all right, sure. I worry about after halftime because a lot of y'all aren't in your seats. And it's weird and empty in that 100 level because so many people are hobnobbing back in the back in the little liquor lounge and doing a little ho ho ho. They don't listen to the countdown. They don't hear get back to your fucking seats. Meanwhile, over there in the corner, we see Spike Lee and Al Harrington sitting there because they know to get there right for the beginning of the second half. Meanwhile, most of our lower bowl is empty. That has been a problem for a long, long time with our team. And in some ways, our team, it doesn't affect them as much as it used to. But it's still annoying. It is still annoying. And I hate that people are not in their seat for the halftime afterwards. And I wish that would change. I really would wish that would change. Stargate saying, okay, we're not bringing him up. Okay, all right, that's interesting. I'm not going to bring that up. Tristan saying, good win by the 905. All right, let's talk about that. Tristan Phipps talking about the 905 real quick. I've got 5 stars of the game for the 905 game. Their first win of the season. They are now 1-8, beating the Maine Celtics in front of the schoolyard children yesterday. That crowd is amazing. If we could have the schoolyard kids crowd for school day games in the Scotiabank Arena for regular Raptor games every single night, we would win a lot, because their energy is infectious. And once again, they're doing it the way I want our crowd to do it. Their defense every single time the other team has the ball. They're doing it. The young generation is promising because they know how to cheer this team on with a lot of loudness. Now, maybe they get older and they get more mature and they stop. But at least when they're kids, they do it right. And maybe we can tap into that when they get to be adults also. If there's a new generation of Raptors fans coming up, they're going to be just like those kids that were at the 905 game. We are in good shape. We're in good shape because those kids were awesome. There was a delay in the 905 game yesterday because somebody threw a chocolate bar on the court at one point. I thought that was so hilarious. Every game is different. It's like every game is a snowflake. They're all individually different with their pattern. And, well, there was a 905 game yesterday where the game was stopped by chocolate. That's right. The little kid threw his chocolate bar on the court in the middle of the game. And I'd never seen that before. And that's what the announcer said. Oh, the kid threw his chocolate on the court. There's a chocolate bar on the court right now. Stop, get the chocolate bar. Eric Curry went and got it. And I think he ate some of it too. All right. Anyway, my 5 stars of the game for this game was insane. Honestly, part of the problem with the game yesterday for the 905 is everybody got hurt. Everybody got hurt. Like they didn't have a single guy that didn't get hurt yesterday. And unfortunately, a very serious injury happened yesterday. That's very scary. And in some ways, we need to keep tabs on this guy and hope for him and pray for him that he's okay. Mohamedou Guy, he got landed on by one of the Maine Celtics on a play on the baseline. He was sitting on the ground, basically, with his neck kind of down. And the Maine Celtic fell with all of his weight on the back of his head, snapping his neck down like this. And he had a neck injury yesterday. They had to put him on the board and have his neck held and take him out of the game. Very, very scary. And in some ways, I haven't heard the news about Mohamedou's injury is much further. I know that Eric Curry said in the press conference after the game that he was able to sit up and he's able to stand and he's able to walk. So he's not paralyzed. Thank God. But yeah, very scary injury for Muhammadu yesterday. And he got taken out of the game. Javon Freeman Liberty, Ron Harper Jr. both had to leave the game at certain points. We're just walking wounded. Every single player getting hurt left and right. No Marquise Noel. Nobody here, nobody there. Who cares? The Raptors showed some stuff and they stepped up and they beat the Maine Celtics, even though they were hurt. In some ways, they were doing it for Muhammadu, is what they were saying after the game. It was like he got hurt, and we were like, man, we want to do this for Muhammadu. And they did. They did. They made it happen. And Grady was a big part of it, guys. Actually, Grady did really good yesterday. My number one star of the game for 905 yesterday is Javon Freeman Liberty, though, which was interesting because he left in the first half for a little while and went to the back, and we didn't know if he was coming back, and Ron left too. And I'm like, are we going to have any players left? And then Muhammadu got hurt, and he had to leave. It was crazy. But Freeman Liberty got 31 points in 42 minutes, 9 of 14 from the field, 4 of 7 from three, 5 of 6 at the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 5 turnovers, a +9. Javon, even with the 5 turnovers, those were all in the first half. He cleaned up his game and he played much more ethically in the second half. The JFL was really scoring and putting it in the hoop. And it's pretty good. I was pretty proud of him and pretty good with the stat stuffing with the rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. So JFL is my number one star of the game yesterday and good shooting. The second star is Grady Dick. Grady had a great game. 7 of 14 shooting. He was actually shooting even better. He missed more shots later and got that worse. He was actually 7 of 8 or 7 of 10. And then he missed like 4 more shots later. But he shot a pretty good percentage, 50%. I'll take that. 4 of 7 from 3, 1 of 2 at the line, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers, a +16, 21 points for Grady. Now, one of the things about what Grady was doing yesterday that was very interesting was he was creating his own shot without people having to pass it to him. He was doing a little bit more of that Gary dribble, step to the side kind of shoot. He was also more aggressive and going into driving and trying to shoot over people. And he showed really good offensive acumen. And the other thing that I love about him being on 905 is that he gets opportunities to do motions and activities and things on the court that he would not get the chance to with the Maine Raptors squad. That he has the chance to have to launch a shot at the end of the shot clock with a defender in his face because he's that guy who has it at the end. He has the chance to try and create his own shots and do different things that he would not get that chance on the other team. So a lot of good things are happening with Grady. He's getting rites of passage down on the 905 out of the way that if he waited around to get them on the regular roster, it would maybe take a couple years. So this is why the promise of sending a guy like Grady down to 905 is really good, because he's doing a lot of stuff that he would never get a chance to do on the main roster already down there, and he's finding success in it. There was a really good confidence building and some of the things that have happened with Grady in the last 2 games with the 905. So really good stuff. And Grady, keep going. You were awesome. And honestly, everybody kept getting hurt. And Grady, there was some smack talk in the game yesterday between people. Grady talking shit to the Shackle guy and talking shit back. And yeah, there was a lot of interesting things happening with Grady yesterday. He showed some fight. He showed some determination. And he showed some real scoring ability on his own without his teammates setting him up. And I like that. That's the kind of stuff we want to see. In some ways, we're worried about what he's going to turn out to be. Well, the promise is still there. And if you watched him yesterday, you'd be like, okay, this guy is going to be pretty good. I can tell. The third star of the game for 905 is O'Banner. Kevin O'Banner off the bench, 8 of 11 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 1 of 2 from free throws, but 4 offensive rebounds, 8 rebounds altogether, 3 assists, 1 steal, 5 turnovers, and 6 fouls. He did foul out. +5, 21 points. Kevin O'Banner, to me, is very similar to Justin Champagnie, but I like him way better than Justin. There's certain things that he does that Justin didn't do that I like better. And it's funny because Kevin O'Banner isn't even as far in our organization as Justin was, being a 2-way. Kevin O'Banner is Exhibit 10, and he's not coming up. But in some ways, I like Kevin O'Banner better than Justin Champagnie. They're very similar in some ways. Hard-nosed, tough guys that like to get on the boards and can shoot the 3. And yeah, Kevin was awesome, and he fouled out. He was trying to show that dog out in the court. He was feisty. He was a little bit getting in people's faces too. There was one point where him and that Shackle almost got in a fight because of some dirty shit in the middle court, and Kevin shoved him to the ground in the middle of the game, and that looked like they were going to maybe throw some people out. Like they were really thinking about it. The 905, the G League refs, they were reviewing it and they were thinking about it, but they also realized that the Raptors 905 had most of their team injured and not a lot of players to play. So we really couldn't take an ejection because we already had players leaving because of injury. So I think that the refs were nice to us and they said, okay, we're just going to give them techs and nobody's getting ejected because they could have for what happened, but they had the better judgment to allow the Raptors 905 to still have players to play in the game. It's kind of like that. Seriously, it was crazy. Let's see who else. Makur is my fourth star in the game yesterday for 905. He was off the bench once again. He has not been starting recently. 29 minutes, 21 points, 6 of 9 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, 5 of 5 from free throws, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, only 1 block, 3 turnovers, a plus 13. Maker was making threes late, like clutch threes that really helped us carry. And it seemed like after Mohamedou got hurt and he went out, he kind of took things personally and he wanted to play at a higher level to help the Raptors 905 fill the void of him being gone all of a sudden. Guy has been one of our absolute best players on this team, and him being out now and not being around is going to really hurt us. But yeah, good to see guys step up in the placement of in replacement of him. That was really important. And my last star of the game is Page. Jay Page. He formerly played for the Maine Celtics, so he had a little bit of that get back to get at them, and it showed. He was 5 of 10 in the game, 2 of 5 from 3, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 turnover, -7 for 12 points. But yeah, that was the next best player for me to put in the 5 stars as Jay Page. He was kind of really good right at the end of the game too, with his being smart and scoring and helping us carry at the end of the game to win. So yeah, there's your Raptors 905 victory, 9-point win or 11-point win, excuse me, over the Maine Celtics yesterday for their first win of the season. Thank God. We hope Mohamedou Guy gets better quickly and it's not a serious injury. Kobe Simmons also in the starting lineup, 2 of 11, 10 points, 13 assists. Not bad, but he just didn't shoot that well, and he had 5 turnovers, so I couldn't put him in the stars. Yeah, they were really running on fumes as far as how many people they had available for 905. They really could have used Marquise Noel. In fact, it occurred to me yesterday watching the 905 game. It's like I feel like I'm getting cheated because I want to watch Marquise Noel play out there right now. And the fact that he's hurt and he has not been playing 905 games is stealing joy from us. Because honestly, watching him play is a lot of fun, and I want him out there. It's very similar to Koloko. I feel like we're getting joy stolen from us without seeing our great Christian Koloko or Marquise Noel playing for us on the court right now. It's very annoying, very, very annoying. All right, thanks for bringing him up, Tristan Phipps. MSJ saying sometimes the Raps play wild to start the third. Then they went out shooting and missed it all. Maybe teams shooting poorly should attack the rim, but credit to the Knicks front court. They're beasts. Well, in some ways, that Atlantic Division defense is we're going to let you foul the shit out of the Raptors, and we're not going to call anything. I mean, that really is the pattern that's been shown between Philadelphia, Boston, New York, and Brooklyn when they play Toronto. Maybe they understand that in some ways we're going to get an unfair whistle, and they're absolutely leaning into it. And every single thing that happens in the paint when we're playing an Atlantic Division foe is absolutely a foul half the time, and very physical and grabbing of arms, and it's just not getting called. It's got to be so frustrating for our guys. And it's different in different games. I'm telling you, there's a very weird thing going on with the levels of who we play and what's going on. Now, we got all the Atlantic Division teams we lost. We're 0-6. And then Cleveland on Sunday is a very similar game to those losses to the Atlantic Division. And Cleveland's another rival in the Eastern Conference. So they kind of don't want us to have a winning record against them either at the end of the season because it's all playoff implication shit. Where the NBA doesn't really care if we beat the Western teams. So it's a weird pattern that we're beating all the Western teams when the games are fair and they're being called fairly. We're winning against top teams in the West. Meanwhile, when the games are being called really fucked up against Eastern opponents, we're losing close games, and games are their eyeball to me saying, well, we got this advantage on them. We should be beating them this way. We should be beating them this way. Well, the referees are taking away advantages we have, and they really are trying to steer wins towards the other teams in the Eastern Conference. Meanwhile, we play a Western team. They don't care if we beat them or not. That's a better indicator of where we are without ref manipulation. Is a game like Phoenix, a game like Dallas, a game like Minnesota, a game like San Antonio. So it's annoying. It's very annoying. There's certain opponents where the refs are making a difference on whether we can beat them or not. And if you don't think I'm right, if you don't believe me, maybe watch a little closer, is what I would tell you. Yeah, it's very, very weird. Very, very weird. Yeah, we need to shoot better. We need to shoot better, and then it won't matter. We can overcome the referees also. Wayne saying DiVincenzo came in hot for a couple games now, not just against us. Perimeter defense, apart from OG, was atrocious. When they moved, we didn't keep moving with shooters. Guys get some rest finally. Yeah, they'll get some rest over the next couple of days. It's hard to keep up with these plans that when the other team's offense is really working as hard as possible to free up 3-point shooters. There is a play that Thibodeau is setting up that is trying to get that success, and with mixed results. Sometimes our defense is quick and recovers and doesn't allow open three at any point. There's a lot of times when our defense is absolutely successful and does a seal and cuts them off completely. But there are times where it doesn't rotate correctly, exactly right, and they do get that open shot. Our guys are working really hard on defense. They have a commitment to it, and it shows, even with all the disadvantages I'm talking about today. Fiercely saying Jalen Brunson went to the Kelly Olynyk Flopping Academy. Masai interview, he said, build around Scotty. That's right. Nothing wrong with that. I don't know why people would be upset about that. That sounds like that's smart to build your franchise around Scotty Barnes. That sounds smart to me. Yeah, Jalen Brunson is doing Kyle Lowry kind of charges yesterday, and they were annoying. They were very annoying, very, very annoying. He was annoying. He was very efficient. He played quite well actually on the down low. He had 42 the night before, and he only had 22 in this game, but he was a plus 15. He was 9 of 21, so he didn't shoot totally well. 3 of 8, so 3 threes were pretty key at times. 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, 2 turnovers. So yeah, Brunson pretty efficient for the most part. Not totally perfect, but good enough and picking his stuff. Jimmy saying it seems every game there is a few minutes where we don't get a field goal. Hurts to see, and it puts us in a hole. Yeah, some ways that is set up. In certain ways, I'm telling you, in some ways that's set up. Jimmy's saying, and with Gary, ever since we got him, it's a known thing that he doesn't perform as well off the bench compared to starting. The stats are night and day. I don't know why it's that way, but it is. This is not true, Jimmy. That's not actually true. You can look at the stats and you can think that, well, they're going to be skewed now because he's playing shitty and he's only been coming off the bench this year. If you actually just go back to last year and don't even look at this year's stats included, you'll see that he was pretty much the same starting or off the bench. The problem with Gary is right now, you can start him right now, and he played just as shitty in the starting lineup. I will tell you that right now, Jimmy. You could start him in the next game, and he will shoot just as poorly right now. His foot is absolutely destroying his year right now. His plantar fasciitis, and that doesn't change whether you're starting or off the bench. He's going to be shitty no matter what because he's injured, and that injury is not helping him at times right now. So I would be mad if they switched him into the starters and he did the same fucking shit in starter minutes or at that time in some ways. Like in some ways, you don't want to take somebody out of the starting lineup on the chance that streak shooting Gary will start shooting better. No, because that's not how it works. It doesn't have anything to do with him starting or bench. It has to do with his injury. And he's been hurt this whole season. And that's why he sucks this year. Last year he came off the bench and he started at different times, and it was the same kind of output. So there's I'm going to say that this is not true what you're saying. Statistically, you may be able to get stats that show that, but that's partly because he has not started this year, and his stats this year are horrible. And those stats can be manipulated to tell you that. But I will tell you, Jimmy, if they put him in the starting lineup, he'd be just as shitty right now. His foot won't allow it. It's what it is. Let's see. Fiercely saying, are there financial repercussions when players don't play due to injury? Why doesn't Gary take the time to properly heal instead of playing at 60, 70% capacity? That's an interesting take. I don't know if it could be very well that Dr. McKechnie and them are like, well, he can continue to play and this won't do more damage. And, he's not, he'll heal it as it'll heal. In some ways, Gary is essential and important to our team because he's supposed to be our sixth man, our scorer off the bench. And he's not fulfilling that role. So Darko's still kind of needing him to just wake up and get it going. We saw signs of it in the last week or so where he's had good games. Then he's actually carried some scoring, but it's just not consistent. And I don't know. I wouldn't be unhappy with him missing a couple of games if it would help him in the long run. But they're managing him how they're supposed to manage him. And also, Gary wants to get out there and play probably more than he wants to sit. He did miss a couple of games right at the beginning of the season. Remember, he wasn't available for a little bit near the beginning of the season for a bit. I don't know. Maybe these 4 days off will help with this situation. Either way, Gary's foot is the issue. It very much is. Most saying a good game by Grady and JFL. Finally, 905. Laugh out loud. Yeah, that was a fun game. A lot of fun. A lot of good stuff happening down there. And thank God they finally won. Really, seriously. If they had not won that game and somehow Eric Curry and them had figured out how to lose it, I would have been like, oh my gosh, this is so depressing. But they got the win for the kids. And it was against the Celtics. Yes. Good stuff. Jimmy's saying, if we keep losing, then we need to change something. Gary plays better starting, and Dennis won six man. Did he not so he can eat off the bench? Who knows? It might work. I don't know. This is if we keep losing. That's not the key. That's really not the key. Jimmy, you're sacrificing really good setup right at the beginning of the game when you take Dennis out of the starting lineup. Gary's not going to give us the right thing at the starting of the game. In some ways, Dennis establishes so much right at the beginning of the game. He establishes a really good attack on the ball as far as defense. Like, he's a point of attack defender. He's right on there, and he sets a tone for the defense right away. And then the second thing is he's really good at establishing scoring for us right at the beginning of the game also. I don't have any faith in somebody else to be the playmaker at the beginning of the game to open up the game with scoring with Jakob or Pascal or somebody down low with an easy basket. And I just think this is a bad idea. I know a lot of people in Raptor spaces think this is one of the options that could help save us, but it's really not going to help us, and it won't save us. Gary's going to play the way he's going to play no matter where he plays and what he's doing. Just understand that. It has to do with his injury. It has to do with his injury. It'd be more damaging to take Dennis out. We'd lose more from it, and we wouldn't gain enough. We really wouldn't. Gary is not as good as Dennis. Let's just put it that way. A lot of people have a misconception that Gary Trent Jr. is a better player than Dennis Schroeder right now, and he's not. Dennis Schroeder is a better player right now. Gary could be better than Dennis, but he's not consistent enough. If Gary was playing at his highest level, night in, night out, I'd say he's better than Dennis, but he's not. Dennis is better consistently, and he's a much better fit in the starting lineup. Once again, he's Darko on the court. And you need that out there. There's so many things Dennis does to establish things early in the game that are valuable. And Gary doesn't do enough different stuff. He's a very selfish player. It's really about him and making his shots. So if Gary's not making his shots, what is he doing to help us otherwise? What is he doing? He can play top defense, sure. Maybe he'll get a couple assists here, but not really. And it's not like he's a really good rebounder either. So in some ways, that's part of it too. You're saying Dennis was a six man? That's not true. He was starting for the Lakers last year. He was a starting point guard for the Lakers a good chunk of the year last year. And so, he's a starter. He's not, you guys have the idea of him being a bench player because of most of his career, but he's leveled up. He's at a new level where he is. Let's see. Stargate saying, I heard Grady fell ill after the 905 game. He's sick, apparently. Oh, okay. That could be. I could see that. There's a lot of kids at the game, a lot of germs. And then also it's an early game. That may have been a little early for him. And it may be a little cold that morning or something. I don't know. All right. Well, that makes more sense. Thanks for that detail, Stargate. I did not know that Gary may have, Grady got sick, and that's why he missed the game last night. That makes sense. Trevor's saying they said he felt sick yesterday after the game. Okay. Yeah. Jimmy's saying, don't take what I'm saying too seriously. I'm just brainstorming. No, it's all good, Jimmy. They're good ideas. And somebody has brought this up. Like, but in some ways, also you got to remember, like, is Dennis going to be more of a good off the bench scorer in the way that Gary's supposed to be? In some ways, I wouldn't count on Dennis for that kind of dependability. I'd much rather depend on him for just setting our team up and being the captain and like being a point guard leader in the starting lineup than like him coming in and doing like backup point guard duties. Sure, he could do that. He's done that in the past, but it doesn't really, it seems like it fixes the problem, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. Let's see. Fiercely saying, some people say it's Scotty's team and want to build around him. And when Masai confirms, they still complain. Bipolar vibes, no shade to those with mental illnesses. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Fiercely. It is true. In some ways, he is running this team to serve us and cater to what we want, but also he has to do it intelligently in a way that makes sense. And yeah, people are never going to be pleased. You can't be a people pleaser as an NBA GM because the people are crazy, stupid, misinformed, and they don't really know what's best for the team. So being a people pleaser as a GM is not smart. You got to have your own vision, your own idea about what it should be and stick to it. And in some ways, that's where GMs get messed up is they let public opinion and populism come in and say, this is what you should do. And they cave to it. And then they kind of mess up their original vision and it doesn't come out exactly right. I much rather have the eye of the beholder, the one person who's in charge. This is why they say you only want one cook in the kitchen. You don't want so many people by committee trying to run a franchise because it doesn't get run right. When you have one singular person, the buck stops here, and this is the person who makes that decision, you're more likely to find success. Because a lot of times in power structures, when there are a couple people in charge, they're working against each other. And that doesn't help you get anywhere fast. So, in some ways, Masai being all in charge is good because he can move quicker. And in some ways, we need to trust his judgment. You know, I'm so glad he doesn't just do what the fans want him to do because if he did, we'd be really shitty team. We'd be run way worse than we are right now. There's levels to this, y'all. Monique saying met Andy Rottens at the game last night, chatted a bit. That's interesting. So Monique met the son of Leo Routens, the one that played in the NBA for a while, actually played for the Knicks for a bit. Very cool. Very cool to see that Mo is hobnobbing with a former Canadian basketball player, Andy Rottens. Very cool. Stargate saying, side note, Bones Highland is now out of Clippers rotation, possibly something Bobby Masai could be looking into. That doesn't sound like a bad option, although he has character issues, apparently. You know, in some ways, he was not liked in Denver, and something went really wrong there for him to miss out on all the great things that happened with Denver last year. And then, you know, I get it. I wouldn't want to be on the Clippers all of a sudden when James Harden showed up either. But in some ways, I wonder about whether he's a problem person. That's the only thing I worry about with him. I mean, he's a great talent and he could very much help our bench. But the risk with Bones is like there's some bag of negativity with him with as far as his attitude, obviously. Because in some ways he was rejected by the Nuggets and they had that winning championship atmosphere. He wasn't a part of it. They didn't want it around. So in some ways that's a red flag right there. That's a red flag. Cowboys here. Good morning, Lex and Rabbit Freaks. Bam. Good to see the Cowboy. G Sam, we struggle with teams with rim protectors. Once Yak comes off the floor, they attack the rim and score, then attack and kick out for threes. Okay. Yeah, I mean, every team's got a pretty good center, most of them these days at this point. You know, at least a defensive guy. Doesn't necessarily mean they can score, just at least somebody who can be down there. I don't know. In some ways, we did really well against Cleveland down low with both those guys around. So I think it's on a night-to-night basis. And once again, a big thing that's factoring into this is when the whistle's called and how much physicality is allowed for both sides and whether that's fair or not. That has a lot to do with it. Basically, if we go down low and we try and do anything near the basket, it's not about rim protection. It's about they can fucking foul the shit out of us. And the refs are looking the other way. That's a big part of why teams have good defense down low against us because we have to play through contact and fouls that are not getting called. And that's I won't give them as much credit as having really good defense as they're allowed to just hack the shit out of us. How about that? Kareem saying, I think Darko has to tighten up the lineup the next two games. run an 8 to 9 man cycle and see who really wants to be a part of the 10-man rotation. I'm not against this. There's been more and more rumblings of this, and he's even said it himself that he's been talking more and more about a 9-man rotation instead of a 10-man rotation. I don't mind this. I mean, there's a little bit of tightening up like Nick Nurse would have done with what he's doing right now. That may work. That may actually be a benefit. You know, in some ways, the middle road between some of the success of Nick before and what Darko's trying to do currently could be good. So I have no problem with him trying a 9-man rotation. 8 may be really pushing it, but we'll see. We'll see. Especially with the rested, you could see a 9-man rotation against Miami on Wednesday. It'll be very rested. Let's see. Stargate saying, yes, the gaslighting has gone too far now. The issue is there isn't enough significant loud voices of people like you, Lex. You and Chev with big platforms are the only positive ones who are loud. Yeah, it sucks. It's tough. And thank God that we got this little oasis in the middle of this stuff. I'm just sick of it. If people do not understand what gaslighting is, well, we can try and give you the definition. It's basically people saying things to you and acting a certain way towards you, but in reality, behind your back, they really don't have good intentions for you. And there's a lot of that with our media. There's a lot of that with the NBA and the referees and that kind of stuff going on with us. And then it happens with our own fan nation and people that are supposed to be covering the team. So yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, you know what? We just, hang out with me, hang out with Chev, and we just do what we do. And hopefully things will get better and people will be more educated over time. And there's a lot of people pushing against the negativity in the world right now. We heard what Jason Kidd said this week in the press conference. He said, "I'm sick of y'all trying to write negative stories about my team. Why can't you write positive stories? Why can't you write an interest story about one of my players and their life and something that they overcame, or something that's positive about how they contribute to society because they're a great person, instead of fucking trying to come in and pull strings and make things pull apart all the time?" Jason Kidd just didn't he had enough the other day in the press conference. He said he went off on the reporter, and he got a lot of respect from people all over the place because they feel the same thing as what we're talking about. We're sick of the negativity. We're sick of all the fucking bullshit that is made in the press that is negative. We're sick of Trump fucking era negative, fucking all bullshit is negative. We want more positive shit out there. Muggsy Bogues getting on there and saying, Jason Kidd's spitting the truth. There's just too much negativity out there. My man Muggsy, number 14 on the wall behind me, signed jersey. He said that. He said that, we're sick of the negativity. People want more positive stuff. So hopefully maybe Chev and I will be a part of more of a trend towards more positive people making positive content and things for people to watch. That may be more what money makes. Some people say, oh, well, people being unsettled and upset, that's making money because they have to come and they get hooked to that. Well, maybe people get hooked to being positive or having positive things too. And there'll be a renaissance of more positive entertainment and content and things out there for people, because that's where people want to spend their money. In some ways, we could change the whole thing by saying that I don't want to spend my money on this anymore. I want to put it towards positive things. People like Lex and Chev instead of garbage that is fucking trying to make me feel shitty. It really is a war in today's world because there is a lot of forces out there making bullshit that wants to make you feel bad so that you'll go buy in their product. It's shit like that. G saying teams we beat don't have great centers. I may be wrong. I feel half the problem will be solved with a backup big. And yes, we need the shooting to improve or trade some bench players for a sniper. Yeah. I mean, we'll see what they do. I'm excited to see the changes and hopefully the really good progress and wins that we're going to get down the road. Everything that's happening right now is really like the seedlings and the early stuff of the Darko era. We have to continue to remember this, that we have a new coach that's only been coaching this team for just over a month, and that there's a learning path with this. In fact, in some ways, we're ahead with him already. And it's only going to get better, guys. So it's like a lot of it can be like, oh, we suck and this and that. But no, it's an actually really a good accomplishment how we are doing, considering everything. And the fact that he's brand spanking new. Everything that's happening right now is seedlings for success later. And the losses right now will help us with wins later. Trust me, because Darko's keeping track. He's paying attention and he's learning to become a better and better head coach in the NBA. and he already is ahead. Like, he's not a normal rookie head coach. He really, really isn't. He doesn't act like one. First of all, he's not making very many rookie head coach mistakes, just like a rookie would in a game, like a Coloco last year. No, he's not making a lot of rookie mistakes, honestly. I mean, sure, maybe some of his rotations last night were suspicious, but for the most part, I think that his logic and what he's been doing makes a lot of sense, and he's been adding up to more towards winning than failure with what he's been doing. Let's see. Kareem saying, how do you build consistency if you practice at everything every day? Why doesn't it transition to games? Individually, I see growth in all our players except Gary, but I don't see team growth yet. All right, let me read this carefully and answer it right. How do you build consistency? Well, consistency is difficult to build. It really comes from your habits. It comes from the way you've carried yourself for years. It comes from how you practice like day in and day out for like a decade. And in some ways, this is the work that's been going on for a long, long, long time. And that's why, in some ways, it's important for young players to establish good consistency with your habits and practice and the things that you do, so that when you're in the game in the heat of the moment and everything's going crazy around you, your habits are your default. So consistency is found through your habits and your practice. That's why I don't like unfundamental bullshit like a high dribble, because that's your habit and that is not good and it's not consistent for good things. So it really is your habits. That's how you build consistency. And you know that, being an athlete yourself, Kareem Thomas, you know it is habits. That's how you build consistency. Now, how do you build consistency as a team unit all together? Well, it's a similar thing. We have to build habits as a team and get better at executing them in all the different situations that present themselves. And we're going to get better at this. In fact, we're already ahead in some ways. Once again, with the timeline with Darko and what's going on, we're doing better than we probably should be already. Just so y'all know, if you're really looking at it through everything, you can see, wow, actually that schedule was really hard. It was jam full of a lot of games close together with really high level opponents. And he is totally trying to teach a brand new system to a new team. And they are only 9-11 right now. That could be way worse. We could have way less wins. Let's just put it that way. We could have way less wins than right now. Carlos saying, any word on Coloco? No, nothing. I don't hear nothing. I just see him on the bench. MSJ saying, imagine the economics if the Pelicans, Grizzlies, Pacers, and Jazz and us were the top teams in the NBA. That would go bankrupt. Laugh out loud. Most fans love the stars in big cities, not basketball. Sad truth. Yeah, I don't know about that last part, but the first part is hilarious. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, in some ways, they don't like a Nuggets championship. They really, really don't. They don't like a Bucks championship. They don't like a Raptors championship. And in some ways, if they can guide things, their invisible hand of how they do things with the refs and the schedule, they will. They will. And there's certain people they do not want to have success. And there's definitely for damn sure ones that they do. There's definitely for damn sure ones they do. Stargate saying, Chef said the same thing about the refs manipulating of that Knicks game last night. He saw the same thing Lex is talking about in reference to the refs. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking to Chev. I did not go in the space. I have not watched any Chev's content, and we are seeing the same thing. Did he say specifically the exact same point? The third quarter, when they took that long delay to go and review a flagrant foul that wasn't there, just to hold up the game for 5 minutes. In fact, they may have stood there and talked to each other for extra time. It's like, yeah, Secaucus wants us to just stand here and shoot the shit for an extra 30 seconds to really, really kill the energy on the court right now for the Raptors. And like, yeah, all right, we'll just stand here. All right, yeah, Danica or Lauren, how are you doing? How's your latest collage you're building with mixed multimedia? Oh, it's great. I'm glad you asked me, James. You know, maybe we should start the game. No. Secaucus told me we have to stand here and act like we're talking about the play still for like another 30 seconds. It's very important that we eat up at least 5 minutes of dead time, and so people can get really cold. All right. Don't you feel like this isn't fair, James? Listen, I know we went to ref school and we want to make this fair, but you got to understand we got to keep our jobs. So we got to do what Adam Silver wants. You know, that kind of bullshit is going on there. Melbister is here. It's true. All right, Melbister, new name every morning, 9:30, even if it's painful. I'll be in here talking about Raptors issues every single day, 9:30 a.m. I'll be back tomorrow on a Sunday, even though we don't have a game tonight or one tomorrow. I'm still working on Sunday morning. So I hope you'll come and visit us then too. Melbister believes it. G saying, not sure about that one rotation, that one rotation with OG in the bench. Are they testing certain players as the anchor to see what is needed? I don't know. In some ways, I would say this from a coaching perspective. Darko doing that is maybe saying, all right, Gary, all right, OG, you guys can go and do it. Why don't y'all step up and just take over? And if nobody's going to take that baton, that brass ring to go and have excellence and the opportunity is there for them, then he's testing whether these guys want it more or want to grow more or be a bigger part of the offense and doing what they're doing. That's the only thing I could see. I mean, they could put it on 4 guys that are on the court at that time. I don't worry about Chris. Chris is a defensive. He's a rebounder. He's doing great Dennis Rodman shit. In fact, he got an offensive rebound and a putback with a foul that was very Rodman-esque last night. I love that shit. But it's really the other 4 guys, Gary, OG, Malachi, and Precious. All 4 of y'all are out there. And no Scotty, no Pascal, no Dennis even. Who's going to step up and be the man and take over the offense and guide it and either find other people with passes or take the shots and make them themselves? Well, they failed. Nobody stepped up from the line. They all stood there. He's like, Malachi, you could do it. OG, you could do it. Gary, Precious, you guys could all do it. But none of y'all stepped forward to go and do that with that particular lineup out there. And maybe that's what Darko had in mind. He's like, let's see if any of these guys naturally start to try and take over and get more points. None of them did it. It was a fail. It was a fail. They're just too passive. They're not putting that's the problem. We have passive bench. We have a bench that's passive and they don't get activated right. And so, Gary, it's an injury. He could get activated. I could see his past in the history. But in Malachi, I don't know how to activate him correctly. I don't know what gets him going. Tell him it's a pro-am. Lie to him. Oh, Malachi, we're not playing in an NBA game tonight. We're actually playing in a professional amateur game. And you know what? We're not in Toronto. We're in Seattle. Yeah, we're at the crossover. Yeah, we're at the crossover. Yeah. Can you come and play at the crossover tonight? We need you to play in a pro-am. Okay, sure. I'll come to that, Darko. All right, come on down. Hey, this looks like a Raptors game. No, this is a pro-am, Malachi. This is a pro-am. We need you to score 60. Please, it's a pro-am, Malachi. Just say, no, that's not the Knicks. That's a orange team from North York. Yeah, no, it's a pro-am. I swear it's a pro-am. Damn it. Can we just lie to him and tell him it's a Seattle pro-am and just like paint the arena and put some Sonics colors up real quick and just make him think that he's in Seattle in a pro-am instead? Maybe he'll fucking wake up. I don't know. We'll just lie to Malachi. It's a pro-am, damn it. Tristan saying, gee, at first I thought it was because OG said he wanted more offensive role, but then I remember coach said the foul messed with rotations. Yeah, there was a foul trouble for who had the foul trouble last night the most, and out of our guys, it was OG had foul trouble, and that messed it up. Pirtle had a little bit of foul trouble. But yeah, I think that OG's minutes got kind of pushed around because of his personal foul trouble, and that was part of the reason why that happened. A Stargate saying at MSJ, 100% correct. Today's fans are about individual players and not teams. The NBA marketing department's Jedi mind trick has worked on the weak-minded fans like Dame. Like Dame. I don't know. Either way, I don't listen. I've talked about team fans versus player fans on this channel before. You know, you want to be a player fan, go ahead and be a player fan, but I'm a team fan. I'm a team first fan, and I'm a Raptors fan. And that's it. If you're a Scotty fan first and you want to come talk to me about Scotty issues, I'm not going to listen to you probably because you don't have the team at heart first. You have Scotty at heart. And it's not, I don't hate you for it. I'm glad you love our guy. It's just that in some ways you're clouded in your judgment for the overall good of the team by only wanting things that you care about for Scotty. And we're seeing too much of this around Raptors Nation and people forming opinions basically because they just have him in mind. And they don't actually have the win-loss column for the Raptors in mind. They just have the further progression of the career of Scotty in mind. And that's annoying. And we know one person in particular is the worst about that. Yeah. Kareem saying we were getting cooked for the first 4 minutes of the third. Our starters versus theirs. They built a 12-point lead. For whatever reason, the Raps thought they were a 3-point contest to start the second half. Uh, that's not totally true. Right at the beginning of the third, right before he did that, we were actually beating them. It turned around really quickly right after James Williams stopped the game. There was a very good defensive energy we had to start the second half, but it was snuffed out by a stoppage in play. And yeah, that's what happened. Kareem, I saw that is what Tristan's saying. G saying they don't care about the Tim Donaghy stuff because nothing happened when he said it. In fact, it's become normalized in a way now. When players say certain games they need to be ahead 15 to win by one. Yeah, and Tristan makes sense. Uh, yeah, I mean, that sucks. That's part of the reason why this sucks, because there's no accountability for the corruption of the mob with the NBA and the referees. It's obvious that this shit is still going on with Scott Foster still being employed there. And now it's even more overt because now betting sites are so involved with the NBA at this point that why should we trust the integrity of our game when honestly a lot of us can see the manipulations on the court where eyes are open to it. We can tell the different ways y'all do it. Like I'm teaching people all the time on this channel exactly what the refs are doing and they can see it for themselves. It's almost like you watch me for a little bit, I tell you how they do it. You watch the game with a new eye, you can see it as it happens and then you'll see it the next day. There's a reason why Chev and I are saying the same damn thing today because it happened and we're not fucking stupid and we're not going to let ourselves be gaslit to think something happened otherwise. I know normalization of it's just Tim Donaghy is past and he was one guy is bullshit. In some ways, they're going to have a worse scandal and it's going to blow up even worse in their face unless they pay people off. Maybe they have to kill someone. I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them. There's billions of dollars at stake with this thing with the NBA. And yeah, they will do whatever they can to protect that golden goose, even if it's corrupt and there's all kinds of crazy shady shit going on. Kareem saying still a long season. We're going to make a huge run after the All-Star break. Right now, it's about treading and staying above water. Let's work out the kinks and iron out some wrinkles, and we got this. I love that positiveness by Kareem, and I think he's right. I don't think I think he's a little bit too late with that, though. I think we're going to go on that run this month. You're not going to have to wait till after the All-Star break. I think it's going to start very shortly. That we're going to get a good little run for the rest of December. It's going to be very different than last December where we lost a lot and we built a hole that we had to dug ourselves out of last season. No, this season we're healthy. Knock on wood, continue that. And we should have very winnable games for most of this month. So there's a lot of chance for us to get a good little bit over 500 by New Year's. We just got to take care of some of these opponents coming up. They're weaker and get those wins. That's what I'm talking about. Country Kong saying, good morning, Raptors freaks. Lex, I can't believe how well Grady played yesterday. He was just walking into threes. He seriously took over that third quarter. He played like a 6'8" Steph or Klay Thompson. I love JP's enthusiasm about Grady's game yesterday. Yeah, he looked really good in that third, didn't he? And he looked very comfortable. And I like his confidence and poise. There was some chippiness. There was some shit talk. And he was talking right back. And he was backing it up. That's the kind of shit I like to see. Tristan saying, I do appreciate, though, Darko trying to improve the three-point shooting. These guys have shooting ability. And if we hit those threes, we turn into a near deadly team. Otherwise, it's tough. Well, that's what I'm saying. Whether it's Siakam getting out of the mud and making them more, whether it's Gary finally playing better, whether it's Malachi coming as what the product was advertised, whether we trade to get a good shooter like a Doug McDermott, we're going to get that improvement somehow, some way. The front office will figure it out or we'll develop into it from one of these guys on the team already. And that will be the thing that will fix this. And I agree with you that once we get our Achilles heel of the shooting fixed a bit better and we just get improvement in that area, we will see better results for sure. Grady saying Country Kong saying Grady's triple threat and the jukes that he uses are too fast in the NBA. In the G League, those are highly effective. His handles are not there yet. So if he can beat guys before dribbling, it's over. Yeah, see, this is the thing. We wouldn't discover any of this or see any of this with just the regular Raptors. The fact that he went down to 905 and he's getting that run, extended minutes, almost 40 minutes yesterday is so valuable. is so valuable. And the things that Country Kong are describing right here is only possible because of that. Only because of that. Yeah, I love it. And he's going to get better faster because he's on 905 right now. G saying, it just dawned on me why 3-point shooting has become so big now, even Steph Curry effect. Yeah. Spacing, but also refs can't manipulate the three like they can in the paint. The same. Yeah, I mean, it's just the trend that it's gone towards, and it sucks in some ways because it really isn't good basketball in a lot of ways. I don't find it fun to just see a team dribble down the court and just jack up threes really early in the shot clock with no kind of motion or working it out, whether they make it or not. I just find that that's lazy offense, and it's boring to watch as a sport. If it's a way you get the three open by doing your system and it works around, and then you get it open three, that's different. But there's way too many guys dribbling down the court and jacking threes in this league at this point. It's just bad basketball. It's annoying. Let's see. Tristan saying basically Nurse's approach to this roster was play the best guys the most. Darko's trying to develop. Both have pros and cons, obviously. I've also noticed Masai said, wait and see how the players develop. Yeah. Yeah, that is something that was said by Masai as far as he's still in a discovery mode. He's still watching these guys and smart. You're going to invest money into players for long term. You want to make sure you're making the right decision. And when you do that, all right, we got an idiot from the other fan nation that came in here, and we're gonna say bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye. You need that hand holding, old orange and blue litigious piece of shit, Nick Nation. You fucking bullshit asshole owner James Dolan. Y'all hate him too, just much as we don't really hate him. We just think he's an idiot and he's just a dumbass. Kareem saying, Stargate, what's your name on Twitter? Yeah, you're on there fighting the good fight. Kareem was in there too. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free Crew. I went to the game. We lost our game. Knicks was not better. Coach Darko was experimenting with OG instead of his 3-and-D role. Benched our starters too long for our bench, hence the loss. Yeah, I didn't like the end of the third quarter, that OG team. And I was like, well, now that he's played them for that period, then we're going to get the starters for most of the fourth, I would hope. And yeah, that was true. We did get those guys back in there shortly into the fourth. But you saw that from there. You're like, Darko was experimenting with OG instead of his 3-and-D role. So he was doing a little bit more with him being in the Scotty role or the Pascal role when he had him out there with the bench. Yeah, I didn't like that lineup at all, Cool Cat. I did not. OG, if that is the signal that you need to be in there and doing stuff, well, you need to go in there and do stuff because you're the guy on that lineup. So you need to go do it, bro. You just need to go do it. Tristan saying during Nurse's time, Masai seemed more set on winning. Now he's saying he still wants to win, but wants to see what happens with this group of guys. There's no set like one direction. Like you're either developing or you're trying to win. Once again, we say this, you can try and do both at the same time. It's not like you have to pick and choose. And people make such a big deal out of this the last couple of years. I get it. Masai was wanting development last year, and Nick was wanting winning. And in some ways, they didn't see eye to eye on this, and that's part of the reason why Nick got fired. So, man, it's tough. It's a tough balance, and I think Darko is doing pretty good. We're seeing Jalen McDaniels get out there. We're seeing Precious get time. He's blindly giving Malachi time to try and develop these guys. I mean, it's a real balance. And in some ways, he's not totally getting the balance completely right, but it's hard to do. And hopefully he gets it more right as time goes on. Stargate saying, I think the refs are now in our players' heads. They're shying away from contact a lot on offense, don't want to get hurt. I don't even think that that's true, actually. These guys aren't afraid. I know that they know about what they're up against. And it really kind of in some ways it emboldens them and makes them want to try even harder. I think that these guys have had a really good fight the last few games, even if we haven't won all these games. There's been a really good effort on the court, especially against Phoenix, when they had all the excuses in the world to shit the bed after coming in off a plane very late at night from New York City and still playing a high level against the Suns and beating them. So it's a tough thing. They understand what they signed up for. And even up here, they understand that like the whistle may be different for us than other teams. It's just how it's saying, yeah, we're better than the Knicks, idiot, and we're gonna show it next time. Seriously, y'all have had some success right now, but y'all have gotten to play the Charlotte Hornets 3 times. And you got 3 more wins basically because you got to play the Hornets 3 times. You also got a win over the Wizards. You've been playing shitty teams, New York. So your record looks better than it probably should be. And we've played absolutely the hardest teams so far. You have not had to play the amount of really good teams that we have. We've played top 5 teams most of our schedule, and y'all been playing bottom 5 teams. So yeah, you go ahead and think that. And also, yeah, understand that the NBA was holding your hand last night, and that in some ways they want y'all to have a head start in this long season race against us by giving us an L in the first game of our season series with y'all. We'll see how it ends by the end of the year. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, you idiot. All right, let's see. Stargate saying that Kareem, Chat Back Live. Chat Back Live is the name of Stargate on Twitter. Good to know. Cowboys saying, let's go, Raptors. Hope you show up next game. Big task at hand. All right, let's see. G saying, our starters are better, but our bench is not. No DiVincenzo, we win. We don't have that off the bench. Yeah, if our bench was better, we would have beat the Knicks for sure last night. We have a better bench. The 3-point shooting is a big problem. We got to figure that out. But yeah, there's a couple of different things that aren't working exactly right. We'll get it right. Carlos saying, yep, I don't really see anything promising with the current Knicks, even if they are winning games right now. They, like, honestly, in some ways, look, I love RJ. RJ is amazing, but he's not a very good shooter overall. Like, his shooting percentage is kind of bad usually. He's way better when he's going to the basket. Like, the stuff he was doing for Canada at FIBA was really good. Like, a lot of the bully ball and going in and doing low post stuff, fantastic. Julius Randle is a weird player. He has such an acrimonious relationship with the Knicks in his history already. In some ways, it's like they don't really want him, but they need him. They definitely need him. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things about this Knicks team that are interesting, and I will give them some props on progress with how they've grown in the last couple of years. But don't get it twisted. We have a way more talented team, and we're going to kick the shit out of you the next time we play y'all on the 11th. Watch. We will. We will. Tristan saying, yeah, I love a bench piece like DiVincenzo or Caruso. I see these bench pieces with like 40% from 3, and I'm like, Masai, all good, bro. Good game. Yeah, I'm with you, Tristan. I just want better 3-point shooters. And I don't want these fucking guys that are advertised as 3-point shooters that don't really come in and play as 3-point shooters, Malachi and Gary. I'm looking at you two specifically right now because this is y'all's department, and you're not providing the service that we need from you. And that's a big problem right there. Tristan saying, I mean, to be frank, Otto and Jalen have good numbers going into the season. Yeah, I don't understand why Otto's not getting played more. It would be a lot better if he did play him because the experience is there. And who knows? Maybe he makes threes like DiVincenzo did last night. We will never know because Otto wasn't one of the 10 in the rotation. In some ways, that I could say that's maybe a fail. I wish you'd play Otto way more, Darko. I know that part of it is that you just understand what Otto is and you don't really need to develop him. And you're like, oh, well, we can just bust him out whenever we need him. But in some ways, you'd like to kind of get him more chemistry with everybody else and keep him. Maybe it's the thing that like he's not really a part of our long-term future. So what is the point of trying to get reps with him and more chemistry with the rest of the guys? I don't know. I don't know what the reason is for not using Otto Porter Jr. more. In some ways, they really should. They really, really should. All right. Yeah, you got his Twitter handle. Let's see. G saying DiVincenzo and Hart are good bench pieces. We don't have that. That's been an issue for a few years now. Yeah. Jimmy saying Dennis got cooked by Brunson nearly every possession. Brunson is nice, man. That's not true. That's not true. There were a lot of times where Dennis kept up with him fine and bothered the shot and he missed. But yeah, Brunson's a smart player. He picks his spots and he does things very efficiently in some ways. G saying if Darko didn't play an 11-man rotation, they could have tired out the Knicks starters playing back to back. At least try to. Darko's clearly told to develop. Listen, the whole thing about tiring a team out on the second night of a back-to-back is hampered if the refs are calling all the extra stoppages and they can't keep the pace up high. That's the old NBA. I wish we could have up-tempo, up and down the court kind of basketball that it used to be. They killed that NBA excitement, fantastic shit, by taking it out of things with too many stoppages with the referees and their bullshit. So in some ways, they can take away an advantage of a back-to-back that a team has by just putting more timeouts in with officials' reviews and stupid shit. And there was a little bit of that going on last night when Julius Randle looked tired at the beginning of the third quarter. They gave him an extra timeout by going and watching cartoons for 5 minutes. So yeah, Stargate saying a Kareem Rhythm Maker. So there's another name he's got there. All right, let's see. Cowboys saying DiVincenzo killed us. Yeah. Tristan saying laugh out loud. Yeah, sometimes I saw Dennis playing pretty much as good defense as you can and Jalen makes it still. He's focused and crafty. Well, this has happened a few times this week. You're playing against Kevin Durant. You're playing against somebody like Tyrese Halliburton. These guys are going to make their shots at some points because they're just so good offensively. And there's some truth to that with Jalen Brunson, that you can guard him at a certain point, but at a certain point, he's going to make a certain amount of his shots too. And that's just how it is. Let's see. Tristan's saying that's a good one. Laugh out loud. I don't even know what it is, what he said. All right, let's keep going. Cool Cat saying, wondering why we are not using Otto Porter Jr. at all. Are we trading him? Yeah, I'm wondering about that. I was just talking about that. Cowboys saying we're trading somebody off the bench. I'll be okay with trading Gary if we can get a good return. Stargate saying, good morning, Cool Cat. You wake up? Y'all were up late, huh? Precious and Gary, Bruchet, hope they stay, but everyone else is up for grabs. You're talking about as far as the bench? Yeah, I don't know if I'd keep Gary at this point, honestly. He's just too erratic. I wish the man could be like more consistent, but I really do feel like his injury right now is really hurting him. Is really, really, really hurting him right now. So let's see, where else am I in here? I jumped ahead, and I am going to skip our guest right now because honestly, it's not really a guest. It's just a little troll. No. All right, I do need a cutoff, y'all. I don't want to go on for fucking 4 hours today. I do need a cutoff. All right, where am I on here? I gotta find where I when it drops too far below, then it's like, all right, I'm gonna try not to miss any of the comments, but I might because I don't know where I was. There's way too many comments, y'all. Definitely do not write anymore, please. There's way too many. All right, here. I think I'm here. Right here. Yeah, there I am. Country Kong saying, you mentioned the charge Brunson drew on Siakam. That was highly questionable. Guys shouldn't be able to make a beeline into an all NBA player's open driving lane, barely get there and draw a charge. Yeah, that was the one that was probably more 50-50 than the second one. The second one was more clean, but that one, especially with the two people in charge, like in some ways when you have a collision between two all-stars, a Brunson and Siakam, in some ways they're showing the hierarchy of who matters more. In some ways, the NBA talking points for the referees, the bulletin, the email that we know goes to them could be very well that, keep Brunson out of foul trouble. If the choice is between giving a foul to Siakam or give a foul to Brunson, and they want to give the foul to Siakam, they're going to do that. They're going to do that. Let's see. Tristan's saying, yeah, country. I saw him shift one of his feet, which I've seen the exact same thing done by us called a block. Just inconsistent, really. Yeah, I totally agree with that. G saying, imagine Darko trying to showcase the bench for trades, and they're like, nah, because they just suck. They're like, I don't want to get traded, so I'm going to just play really bad. Jimmy saying, big task. Don't go there. Pascal won a championship as a number 2 option. You dream about a championship. Yeah, you guys haven't won since the 70s, so shut the fuck up. And that's why I'm not even reading your comments, bro. Because honestly, of course you're going to come in here on the day after the game, like last night. But once again, you talking shit right now, come down later in the season. You'll see if you're not going to be talking any shit later in the season. Watch. Mischief saying, I thought we were playing New York Knicks back to back, but schedule changed unless my eyes playing tricks. Yeah, it did change, Mischief. We were supposed to play the Knicks on the 1st and the 11th. But they filled in the schedule with 2 extra games after the in-season tournament. So Miami's coming to play us on Wednesday, and then we go to Charlotte on Friday. And those are the next 2 games. Those 2 games were added in the last couple days after the in-season tournament ended the first round. So, yeah, your eyes are not playing tricks. 2 games were added in the middle, but they were never back-to-back. They were 10 days apart, the 2 Knicks games. Country Kong saying the NBA I grew up on was that was a block. When Pascal started driving, Brunson wasn't there. It wasn't like he decided to run over Brunson. Kyle Lowry used to draw real charges. Pascal is much better. Yeah, I agree with this. I'm totally on your side on this. And that's why it's kind of like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? Jimmy's saying, and if you want to stay in here, don't get chippy. No, they don't want to stay in here, and they're gone. They're gone. I don't want to have anything to do with fuck face McNick fan. Let's see. G saying we need the 905 crowd from yesterday every game. Completely agree with that. Jimmy saying, yeah, and it's sad the crowd was louder than any Raptor game this season. Yeah. Yeah, he's is he threatening? He's not threatening me. Are you threatening me? Are you threatening me? Are you threatening me? No, you're gone, bro. You're not, it's not even a threat. You're just kicked out. Fiercely saying it was amazing to hear the kids cheer, let's go Raptors. I loved it. No, they're awesome. Those school games are always so good for the crowd energy. I mean, they need it. It's 11 a.m. in the morning. Those kids better wake them up because that's a really weird time to play a game. Let's see. Fiercely saying, I'm glad I watched the game. Go Raptors 905. Yeah, it was a fun, entertaining game. It was very dangerous, a lot of injuries, a lot of crazy physicalness. And thank God they had enough players to finish the game. There's so much injuries and crazy shit. Stargate saying, yo, G, those kids at the 905 game were 100 times better than the fans at the big team. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The future's bright. I hope those kids don't grow up and mature too much and they keep that kind of cheering as they get older. We improve our fan nation and our fan building over time. That's great. Honestly, we are getting better. Like it's been a growth since 2000 and Vince Carter era is very different in our arena than it was 20 years ago. And I'm so proud of it. And I feel like we can go to new levels and those kids are a part of those new levels in the future. And I'm all about it. Yeah, we're prayers for Emoji. We just hope you are okay and you can return to the court as soon as possible. CountryCon saying the 905 game was awesome. Lex, if Grady stays down there for much longer, we should think about arranging a Raptor Freak family 905 game. Grady is must-see TV down there. Oh, my God. Also, prayers up for Moji. Yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to go to a 905 game. I've never been to one, ever. And Greg invited me last season, and I didn't get it to line up. It just didn't work. Well, I'm hoping I can still go there. I'm open to the idea of us going to a 905 game. It may be better in the new year than what's coming up right now in the second part of their season. Instead of the Showcase Cup part, maybe better after that is finished and they're in the regular season of the G League sometime in next spring or sometime early winter next year. Well, maybe we'll do that. Cowboy saying Jimmy Pope is the fucking man. Trust me, he's looking out for you. That's awesome. Let's see. I do read every comment, but I don't read them after a while. He's done. There's nothing meritorious in what they have to say. They only want to come in here and kind of, be like, oh, we won, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit. That's one game out of 82. And honestly, there's a lot of different things that happen to help y'all win in that one. Let's see. A little banner is cool, but no spamming and disrespect. It drags the stream on unnecessarily. Yeah, we don't worry about it, G. We're cool. The guy's kicked out. Cowboy saying, no, not really. And Carlos saying, is Coloco going to come back soon? I'm so ready to move on from Precious at backup center. There's no telling when Coloco's coming back. I have no idea. I have not heard any news, so I can't tell you. Cool Guy saying fans were complaining about Darko's rotations. They left the game with 7 to 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's crazy. All right, any of those fans who left early last night, fuck you. And then, I get it. Yeah, I had a little bit of problems with Darko's rotations last night. Just a couple of problems, and that OG lineup was one of them. Jimmy's saying, just stop commenting so much. He's got to read it all, and hopefully you don't rub him the wrong way. Yeah, I'm done. I stopped reading them way earlier. There's nothing that they can offer, seriously. Stargate saying, Mohamedou had what you call the stinger. TJ Ford had a similar thing happen to him with the Raptors when Al Horford with Atlanta fouled him really hard in the game back in the day. That's scary shit. That is scary shit. TJ Ford had a very serious back neck injury at that time, and that really made it seem like he may be in trouble for his career. You know what? Let me go and do the Instagram check because Mogi's on there. First, we got Scotty coming in the game wearing Christine Sinclair's soccer jersey. Number 12 for Canada. She's playing her final games for Team Canada soon, and Scotty wanted to commemorate her. He said that after the game, when he was in Vancouver for preseason, he met her, and he asked her for her jersey, the one that he's wearing, that she signed. He's very much a big fan of her, and that's awesome. I don't think he was put up to this at all. And sometimes I feel like there's crossovers between Canadian sports teams and the Raptors, just to have crossovers. But it really seemed like Scotty was authentically interested in her and knew about her And that was all on him. That the Raptors didn't put him up to do that. So I love that Scotty's supporting Team Canada women's soccer, and that he was wearing their jersey yesterday. Slim Duck is very much representing the Giants of Africa yesterday. He's got a really funny look on his face, a sneer. And then, like, also, like, he's got a song, and, like, they've got to be proud of what Masai does with Giants of Africa and the program and all the great things that are spawned and come from it. They're really good things. Nab Bhatia giving dap to Yuta from the Phoenix game the other night. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to see Nav palling around with former Raptors. Let's see. Dennis has got a really cool picture of them celebrating his son Amari's first birthday. Amari Elijah Schroeder turned 1 this week. He had a nice little Sylvanian families theme, the birthday cake. And apparently this is the first time that little Amari got sugar ever in his life. They are very smart parents, and they don't want to just give sugar to their kid. And they let the kid have a sugar for the first time with the birthday cake at the first birthday. So Mari was very happy to get that sugar. The little guy, they call him Bubba. Yeah, he's cool. And then let's see. There was something from Mohamedou I want to go look at. Ron Harper Jr. celebrating Javon, Freeman Liberty, and Grady Dick from the game yesterday with their stats. Even though Ron got hurt and he did not play well himself, he's still celebrating his guys. Javon, Freeman Liberty also celebrating them also. I swear there was a Moji post earlier, but I don't see it now at this point. I don't know where it went either way. Let's keep going. Where's David? I don't know. David's probably either here listening or maybe he's just busy. I tried to get him go to the game yesterday on those tickets I got last minute, but he couldn't scramble and get there either. It was just too short notice. Stevie Roots getting me at 6:45 and saying, Lex, meet me down in the arena. I got the tickets behind this Raptors bench. And I'm like, man, Steve, I wish I could have had a little bit more of leeway coming in, because I can't. I realistically can't get to you in that time and get to the game. It's just going to not be good for me. So I couldn't go because it just was too late to get down there. But I tried to get David to go down there because he's close to the arena and meet with my buddy and go on his ticket. But David couldn't do it either. G saying, Cowboy, I reached out to you about that too. I wanted to see if you could go. G saying, half the Raptors 905 are injured. Also, Scotty Sinclair jersey, Canadian soccer jersey was nice. He's embedded in our sports. I love it. Yeah, that's on him. He knew too much about her, and he sounded like he wanted to meet her, and he's a huge fan of hers. So that's pretty cool. Cool Cat saying, I realize Coach Darko only wants rim shots or three-point shooting. Coach needs to allow Siakam mid-range game while we have him. Quit saying shit like that. Seriously, Cool Cat. That's no good. Don't say shit like that. Listen, the mid-range is frowned upon in general across the NBA. It's not even just with our team. Most teams are like this at this point. It's analytics and it's bullshit. And in some ways, I agree with you. I agree with you a lot. We should allow Siakam to operate in the mid-range because he's very good there. Yeah, but it's a general NBA thing. It's not just us. Carlos saying Scotty and Pascal had a lot of mid-range shots made yesterday, though. That's a good counterpoint by Carlo. G saying, I like Darko. I'm trying to figure out some of the rotations, showcasing certain players, developing, testing certain starters with the bench for their own reasons, all the above. Well, it's just he's trying stuff. And in some ways, this is the period of the season where you learn more instead of like really focusing in on what you want to do and perfecting it. Now it's kind of a discovery part of the season. And at some point, when it goes into the new calendar year, you start switching into like really honing and getting good at what you want to do. And more like now we're just trying to figure out what is possible is kind of what it is. Let's see. Yes, G and Carlos saying, yeah, he's betting big on Malachi, precious lineup to turn somewhat playable. Man, I hope that pays off at some point, but I don't see it right now. Cowboys saying Grady is playing to get back in the rotation. Carlos saying we see the bench play well occasionally. Can they get consistent though? That's right. That's what we need. Tristan saying, yeah, the only logic I was applying to see McDaniels on the floor is for Raps to see what we have to work with. I like McDaniel's game, but other than that, on development, I like to see Otto on the floor. Yeah, McDaniel's in some ways, what I'm more interested in seeing with him is the defensive stuff. He has a really good length. He's shown some shot blocking ability. He's really thin, though. And in some ways, he can't play low post, but his length and his added likeness to all the other length on our team is welcome. Now, if he could hit his three consistently and he does have some sort of offense developing too, hey, you can get more minutes. You can get more minutes. But yeah, in some ways, I guess they're trying out Jalen Moore and they already know what they got with Otto. Cool Cat saying, Carlo, I'm talking about Coach Darko's pattern over 20 games stretch and what he said in interviews about mid-range shots. Yeah, they don't like them, but they're going to happen from time to time. The NBA is stupid for cutting out one of the three ways to score. The mid-range is still important, and it maybe analytics and stuff shows that it's not worth it or stuff like that. But everything that doesn't matter whether it's worth it or not. It's just a territory where people should be shooting from. It really is. You want Jimmy Pope to get an alley-oop? Sure. For talking shit to Knicks fan and stuff like that and holding down, sure. Jimmy, you're getting a dunk. Let's give Jimmy Pope a dunk for that. I like that. Let's see. Tristan saying that is the $1 million question, Carlo. Yeah, let's get that bench better. Wayne saying Freeman Liberty is showing a consistency which will reward him soon to the main roster. He will make a difference. Now, my criticism of Freeman Liberty is he's a black hole. He's just like Gary. He doesn't, I mean, he did get some assists last night and he can play point guard, but in some ways, that's not his natural way to play. He very much, if he gets the ball, he's going to take the shot. And in some ways, that's good on the 905 level for that level he's at. But up on the main level, we may not want him to be that much a focal point on offense. So in some ways, he really should be trying to play more like a point guard instead of a hybrid guard, shooting guard that's at point guard. So I want to see him focus more on assists, especially while Noel's out, because in some ways, the 905 needs a point guard right now. And JFL, you should be that guy right now. Let's see. Cowboys saying, hope Darko tries him out, Wayne. Time will tell. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, definitely yesterday was a good stepping stone and a good game for him. Carlos saying, yeah, that'll probably be the factor determining the season, a consistent bench lineup. Yeah, you need to fix this as the season goes on, and hopefully Bobby and Masai can help. Let's see. Fiercely saying, I meant the 905 Raptors 905 game, and earlier in the day, school kids were attending and rooting super loud. Yeah, we don't need to explain ourselves to idiot. He's gone. Let's see. 100% to Carlo. G saying, my bench wish list, either Caruso, Malcolm, Tyus Jones, Serviceable, bench bigs seem the most difficult to get. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a specific wish list other than Doug McDermott. He's the one I want. Stargate saying there were a few times that they went to a double team on Randall in the low block unnecessarily, all of which resulted in open threes for either Dante or Josh. That could have been part of the problem, is that we were coming with a double and we should have just stayed at home and played these guys one-on-one. I think that is something we need to do more often than coming with an aggressive double. Now, some of the really good doubling we were doing was stopping Randall from operating. You see him do the twist, and boom, there's another defender right there between him and the basket. Really, really good defensive stuff overall. But sometimes, yes, we get burned for doubling when we should stay at home because of the three-point shooters are too open. Jimmy's saying, I disagree, Lex. He clearly gets momentum from starting. He's got 45 against the Cavs last year. If it's his foot, there's no helping that. But to say that it makes no difference is false. No, well, I'm just saying it because I've seen it both ways. I've seen him start, and he's absolutely shat the bed in the starting lineup too. It just has to do with he's just not a consistent player overall. He's just a John Starks kind of guy. A Knicks fan who's in here can understand what I'm saying when I say that. He's just a John Starks kind of streak shooter. And in some ways, I don't want to rely on our main three-point threat off the bench, our main scorer off the bench, to be such a hot and cold shooter. In some ways, we can say, all right, you want to say he's maybe slightly better when he starts than but the difference is negligible. It's negligible, and it's not worth the detriment of making the change just for that little bit of change. It's not really going to add up to much helping us. He can have really shitty games as a starter too. You can say it's momentum, but that's bullshit. I don't give a fuck about momentum or in his head or anything like that. None of that should matter. And in fact, in the interview yesterday before the game, he said that. They asked him this question over and over again about starting versus the bench. And every single time Gary says this, I'm a professional. I don't care if I start or come off the bench. I need to make the most of my minutes to help the team win no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm starting or coming off the bench. So he doesn't even have a problem with this. In some ways, he doesn't see him starting as being the solution to him getting better. He sees him getting better is the solution to him getting better. So it's even coming out of his own mouth. It doesn't matter if he starts or not. He needs to make better usage of his minutes, is what he said. That's what he said yesterday in that interview. You can watch it. He'll say exactly what I just said. Cool Cat saying, I always want players to get paid like Kyle Lowry's principal, and I feel bad for Gary, who is in a contract year. Yeah, well, it's bad timing. That's why consistency is important in this league. It's very important. Let's see. Carlos saying, I'm okay with the starting lineup. It's the bench lineups that gets us in holes we have to dig ourselves out of. Can you link us with those so-called reports? I don't even know what he's talking about. Is he talking about the lawsuit now? It's frivolous. I have no time for a frivolous lawsuit and all that kind of stuff. Fiercely saying, I didn't hear that during the game, but thanks for the info. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. Kukat's saying OG has to come to terms with ball skills. Coach Darko needs to come to terms with Pascal's game. He's not a volume 3-point shooter. 1 or 2 attempts is fine. Stop having him attempt 5 threes. Yeah, I wish he would get better. In some ways, we're okay. I'm okay with him shooting and missing. In some ways, they're going to go in at some point. They're going to go in at some point. It's not like Siakam's shooting way more threes than he did last year either. It's not like it's that much different. It really isn't. I mean, I get it. He could use Darko could use Pascal more in ways that benefit or look like what Nick did with him before. But in some ways, that's not what he's trying to do right now. It's a couple different things he's trying to do with Siakam right now. Carlos saying we're 7-0 when Pascal makes a three. He has to keep on shooting. This is true. We need him to make those threes. Cool Cat saying Gary is not a creator playmaker. Darko needs to accept that. I wish he was more of that. I wish he was more. He can create his own shot. It's just that he needs the right person defending him. And also, it's a rhythm thing. Like Gary's such a rhythm player. And if his rhythm is off, he'll miss his shots. You know, did you notice in transition that pass he made to Jakob, where Jakob made the dunk? That was beautiful. And that was totally timed. I saw Gary in his head count it. Like he did a dribble and then he rhythm passed it to Jakob with his steps so that it would go right, so that it would keep catching in stride and just have it easy to put in. It's a very much Gary is a rhythm type player. And if his rhythm is not right, as far as a dribble to the shot or the pass comes to him in rhythm so that he can shoot it, then he's going to not be as effective. He has to be in a rhythm with the game. Sometimes it's a dribble, sometimes it's just a pause and then go. So there's all kinds of different ways he can set up his rhythm so that he's successful. And rhythm is a huge part of Gary being successful. Cool Cat saying, oh yeah, Lumpy Rex is here. Good to see Lumpy Rex. Gary needs to be fed. That's the problem. He provides no energy on his own. The bench role exposes him. People need to understand we traded Norm for Gary's potential, and Gary hasn't been consistent. We might as well have kept Norm. Wow, that's tough. And that's going way back. That's a couple years ago. You know, we can't have hindsight like that. In some ways, what we did with Gary has been very smart. And in some ways, I still would make that deal and do what we're doing, even though Gary's had injury problems and consistency problems. It is what it is. We can't make, a woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of thing on this. That in some ways, the money that Norman was going to get is not money we wanted to invest in him like the Clippers did eventually. So it is what it is. I'm okay with how it happened. In some ways, you could say, oh, I wish we still had Norm. Well, yeah, hell, I wish we still had Kawhi. I wish we still had Kyle. I wish we still had Fred in some ways for the same reasons. It's all the same kind of thing. But yeah, Gary has not been consistent. That may be the difference. Now, Norman's consistency was up and down from time to time too. It's not like Norman was just perfectly consistent all the time. We have a kind of a rosy tinted glasses in hindsight sometimes. Carlos saying, isn't that what Darko did to Desmond Bain though? He turned him into a playmaker. There you go. I mean, anything that he can do with Bain, hopefully he can do a little bit with Flynn. I would hope so. Cowboy saying, I still believe in Gary. I do too. And it's not too late. It's just the clock is ticking. And if he's not careful, he could get it wind up in a trade all of a sudden. Watch. Cowboy saying, wait for it. I'll wait for it. Okay. Carlos saying, big task. He was 0-4 on threes yesterday. We're talking about Siakam. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, I don't think Bones Highland would respect Scotty, so best to leave him alone. Yeah, I think there's red flags around Bones Highland. And once again, I'm not about getting the most talented guys in the world. I want to get the most talented guys that are good guys. And we have that on our team already. We don't want to mess with that. I don't want to mess with that. You want to alley oop for Carlo? All right. Yeah, Carlo's always positive and awesome. So I will definitely give Carlo JS another dunk. Where is he on here? There he is. Carlo's right there. Bam. All right, let's see. Yeah, Mr. Cowboy. Race mode's here. Race Mode Daily, good to see Edmund. I grew up as a Knicks and Bulls fan, and Spike Lee annoys me with respect. What I know about the NBA is if the Raptors can only have a higher score at the end of the game, then we would win. Let's go. That's pretty basic stuff. I like Spike Lee a lot. I have a lot of respect for him. I really like his career in movies, a lot of good movies he's done. But yeah, he was annoying being at courtside with his son, and then Al Harrington being there too. Former Nick Al Harrington. Yeah, it's annoying seeing those guys there. And once again, it's like, he's coming to Toronto because of TIFF. He's coming to Toronto because of movies that he's filming and stuff. Yeah, I mean, Spike's a great person in a lot of ways, but yeah, he annoys me too. Seeing him at the game last night was annoying. Yeah, for sure. But in some ways, I'm also glad to see he's in Canada. And he had a lot of nice things to say about Toronto. It's not like he was being a hater or anything. He really did say a lot of nice things while he was at the game. So let's see. Jimmy is saying Gary is averaging 18, 3, and 2 with 2 steals and shooting near 40% from there on 7 attempts per game. 130 games as a starter with the Raps. That's the Gary we need. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, better. He's a below average on all this stuff right now. He could get back more to more like last year. That'd be great. Oh my gosh, that'd be great. Cowboys saying, okay, even if we beat the Knicks next game, trust. Yeah, guys, I'm not even gonna read these guys. He moves like a 12-year-old. Yeah, I can only imagine what kind of stupid shit he's saying. Yeah, I'm gonna skip this shit. Honestly. Yeah. La, 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 la. Big task at hand. Yeah, you probably got a something at hand somewhere. Go whack off somewhere else, bro. Let's see. Blackhawk saying, a shame we don't have Christian Coloco as our backup center. Would make a big difference for our bench unit. Oh, that's Black Spawn, actually. Yeah, good to see you, Black Spawn. It's been a little bit. I agree with you. We miss Coloco. We definitely miss Coloco. Let's see. Cut off by Jimmy. Thank you. Stargate saying, random useless fun fact. Muggsy was next door neighbors with Ric Flair in Charlotte. That's fantastic fun fact. I love that kind of shit. I did not know that, Stargate. I did not. And I know a lot about the Raptors and wrestling. And the fact that I did not know that about Muggsy is fantastic. Ric Flair's in a lot of trouble right now. But it's not for anything like important. He said a line that he said for years. So what if the man's like 70 years old and he says that every 18 and 28-year-old woman that's single in the crowd come to my hotel after the show without your husbands or boyfriends? That's Ric Flair. He's been saying that shit since the 70s. So it's like for wrestling to cancel him at this point for saying the same thing that he was said 40 years ago, y'all are ridiculous. And he's just like, I just want to come and hang out with my buddy Sting before he retires from AEW. And I can't even do that because y'all fans are like coming at me for just one little look. They do remember the dick helicopter thing on the plane ride from hell, Rick. And that may be part of it. I don't know. These youngsters do not respect the playboy, the wheeling and dealing, Space Mountain motherfucker that you were before, obviously. It's crazy. Yeah, I like your fun fact, though. That's pretty cool. Cowboy saying, it's not you, Jimmy. It's not Jimmy you have to worry about. Mwahaha. Let's see. Carlos saying, laugh out loud. Jimmy, don't get baited by Biggie. Just a Knicks fan gloating for the win. That's all this is. It's like, seriously, where were you all the times we kicked the shit out of your team for the last decade? Seriously, motherfucker. Yeah, your team has been kicked the shit out of by our team for so long. So long. So long. Yeah. And when's the last time y'all won? Phil Jackson played for y'all. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to bloat the chat. And honestly, I'm just avoiding all the bullshit around that person. Mel Bester 9 is saying, nice meeting you, man. I'm a Knicks fan. Good win for us versus the Raptors. I know the whole lawsuit spying issue that happened between us, but it's kind of stupid. Raptors lost Van Vliet. They're rebuilding. Well, respect to this guy. See, we got 2 different Knicks fans in here with us. We got Mel Bester, who's being like, able to talk to us like they're an adult instead of a little child like this other idiot. And, we can have people that are in other nations and talk to them and on a grown-up level. So yeah, let me break this down. It is a good win for you guys. And you guys have the best start y'all have had in a long time. That's what they said last night on the broadcast, that the Knicks have their best record at this point in the season since like a long time ago. So there's a lot of good things promising for y'all. And once again, I will give y'all credit. Y'all's defense has gotten better, and y'all's 3-point shooting was absolutely killing us last night for sure. And Thibodeau's a good coach. I know that y'all may turn on your people so quickly, and Thibodeau has been somebody y'all would dump on and maybe like, yeah, let's just get rid of Tom Thibodeau. But honestly, if I was you guys, I would value him as your coach and continuing with him, and not let the parts of your fan nation get too out of control with criticizing him. Because in some ways, y'all can eat your own in New York City. We know that in some ways. But I respect Mel Bester. Seriously, that's how you do it. That's how you do it right there. Big task. You can be here and talk to us, and we can talk on the same level and be fine. It's just, you got to be a little more adult. How about that? Cowboys saying, good job. Wait till the next game. That's right. And Mel Bester is also saying, at least the Raptors got a ring with Kawhi in that first championship. Cherish it, Toronto fans. We're still waiting 50 years plus for our first championship since 73. I know. That's the thing I try to tell our fan nation, Knicks fan, is that these don't grow on trees. They can go a long time without getting another one. It's like we win one and everybody up here expects us to just get another one right away. It's not easy. This is really hard, especially with the Knicks. They're a good example. This is a team that David Stern and Adam Silver would love for them to win the NBA championship. But a part of the problem with the Knicks culture has been the thing that I described earlier. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many people with egos near the top of MSG and that organization wanting to put things that they want in places that makes dysfunction. And you have two different people that are in charge, or somebody is like ownership and maybe the GM, maybe it's the coach, and they're not seeing eye to eye, and things get just toxic and they don't go in the right direction and they don't go towards winning. In some ways, Michael Jordan blocked the Knicks from some of their best years in recent years from being able to win a championship because Jordan was just there. In some ways, LeBron did the same thing to the Eastern Conference during most of the 2010s. So there's a lot of different factors in getting the right things to happen so that you get a championship. And listen to this Knicks fans, Raptors fans, because he is right. 50 years they've had to wait, and they're still waiting. And we may have to wait a bit. And I don't know if y'all are ready for the long haul like I am. I'm a diehard. I'm going to be here till we get the next one. But some of y'all are going to give up and walk away at some point because you don't like going through the losing to get the winning. That's what I'm saying. That's the way the Knicks could get better is having one person in charge. And James Dolan is not that person. No, he's not. No, he's not. They're being successful right now in spite of James Dolan. And I know this Knicks fan that's here with us would agree with me. And really, Tom Thibodeau, good job. Good job. Seriously. I have respect for him. Cowboys saying we get in the next one before the Knicks. All right, next time we play him, we'll see how it goes. Jimmy's saying the whole league is lucky he didn't stay another 2 years. Yeah, if Kawhi had stuck around in Toronto, we would have had a good chance to repeat. Now, that season was all fucked up because of COVID and the bubble season, but who knows? Kawhi with us in the bubble, I don't know. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, we will never know. And that's Kawhi's fault. That's Kawhi's fault. Cowboys saying good luck to Mel Bester. See, bam. See, we can be friendly. We have friends that are in Sixers Nation. We have friends that are in Nets Nation. And now we have a friend that's in Knicks Nation, Mel Bester. All right. Carlos saying, question for you guys. Would Precious do better as a wing instead of being the 5-man? Yeah. I think he would. He's more naturally acts like a wing on the floor. And just because he's strong and big, we play him down low because he can. In some ways, we're better off putting every single guy who can play lower in the like OG at 2 is great. Pascal at 3 is great because that means we're big overall. So playing Precious at 5 is not the best place to play him. I'd rather play him at 3 or 4 because that means there's a bigger guy. That means Jakob's out there with him or something like that. But yeah, I agree with this. And in some ways, it's harder for him to play the 5 because in some ways he's playing against a bigger guy usually, and he has to overcome it with athleticism and strength. And sometimes he's not the best defender when it's a really big center. So there's a couple of different things there. Jimmy's saying Kawhi plus Alex McKechnie equals Michael Jordan. I like that. Jimmy Pope. Let's see. Cowboy saying, please do. Okay. Mel Bester saying, Carlo, the Knicks need a wing-type perimeter player anyways versus Celtics. They can't beat Boston. Too much wing perimeter depth players. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Boston, we're trying to figure them out too. And I'll tell you this right now, Knicks fan. If you put the Celtics or the Sixers out of the playoff contention, if you eliminate them from being in the getting the Larry O'Brien this year, I will wear New York Knicks gear on this channel. I have a bounty on those two Atlantic Division teams, but you have to put them out for me to do that. If we do it, I'd love that too. But yeah, I just don't want Philly or Boston to win the championship. In some ways, I would be okay with a Knicks championship more than those two. But I totally really don't want anybody in the Atlantic winning except for us. But to be honest, I root for you guys against both Philly and Boston, just so you know. I may even root for you guys against Brooklyn too. Out of all the Atlantic Division teams, you're the one that I kind of like the most because we have less problems, like as far as like our battles in recent years haven't been as like acrimonious as say with Boston, Philadelphia, and Brooklyn. So in some ways, you're the Atlantic team that I like the most. And that if another Atlantic Division team was going to win, I'd rather it be the Knicks than the Celtics or the Sixers for sure. Yeah. So just so you know, I have support for y'all when y'all are playing them. Trevor's saying to all the fake Raptors fans who watch this uncompletely, when we start winning, please do not do us all a favor. Do not come back when we're begging you, you assholes, please. Trevor's feisty. He's like, if you can't watch us while we're losing and hang with us through the hard times, he don't want you around for the good times either, is what he's saying. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Tristan saying you want OG. That's really kind of what he was describing as far as like that perimeter type player that can play defense. Yeah. Everybody in this league wants OG at this point. They really do. Everybody wants him. Carlos saying, I give you bench wings for quickly. Laugh out loud. But I don't think the Knicks and the Raptors are going to be dealing soon. Yeah, I don't think that's in the cards with this lawsuit. Yeah, I don't think we will be dealing with them either. You know, Emmanuel Quickly is a player that I would covet. He's very, very good backup point guard. And he is the closest thing to Maxey in some ways, like that same speedy, like goodness. Man, Quickly is awesome. I have a lot of respect for him. I like him. Mel Bester saying, not Tristan, not OG necessarily. DeRozan is interested in Knicks and Heat. That would be interesting. We'd welcome a return here if he'd have it. I don't know if he would, though. It'd be weird to see DeRozan in a Knicks jersey. It'd be very, very strange. Now, he's not necessarily the defensive wing that you want, though. He's better than he used to be with us, sure. As he gotten older, his defense has gotten a little better, but he's still not a super good defender. Let's just put it that way. Stargate saying, looking forward to the game on Wednesday, Heat versus Raptors. Games are always close and exciting. Don't be surprised if it goes to overtime again. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I could see that, Stargate. Jimmy saying, we'll give you that, Thad Young. We'll give you Thad Young. He'd be a great starting three for you guys. Oh, that's funny, Jimmy. Tristan saying, Bester, yeah, DeRozan would be good too. Didn't see much of Quickly, but when I saw him last year, he reminded me a lot of Maxey. Yeah, he really is like a very quick little guy like Maxey. And man, he's a great player. I like Quickly. I would take him on our team. I would. Monique is saying they gave out Giants of Africa bracelets. Good halftime show. Yeah, Toby performing at halftime for the Giants of Africa halftime show. Toby from Nigeria and grew up in Brampton. And you know what? He's an up and rising star, man. I watch his videos. He's quite good. Toby's very good. Yeah. Cowboys saying, wow, that was quick. Yeah, I got rid of him quick. Quickly saying would look so good with the Raps. Quickly would look good. I wouldn't mind that. Cool Cat saying, I'm looking forward to seeing Kyle Lowry return on Wednesday. He worked hard on his body at that center in Europe, in Spain. Lean, mean Lowry at this phase of his career is impressive. Fred and the kids return game. Listen, Lowry has been playing really well recently. It's crazy the level he's gotten to recently. I didn't know if he had that level to get to anymore at his age. And I'm impressed. And it may have a lot to do with what you're talking about, Cool Cat, with his dedication this offseason. Pat Riley's saying he's too fat and he shamed him, body shamed him. Well, Lowry went and did the work. You don't go against Pat, especially when you're a Miami Heat player. You got to do what Pat says. You kind of do. Nigel's here. Good to see Nigel Nicholas of Raptors Republic, writer for Raptors Republic. Once again, here with us in the chat. He's saying, I don't think the team's mandate towards win versus development scenario is to balance the two. I think yesterday's game shows that the team has taken a development over win attitude. I don't think that's true, though, Nigel. I think that they really did want to win the game last night. It's just a really bad timing with when our offense went cold in the second half, that it just didn't make it a realistic attempt to make up. Now, we can give credit to the Knicks defense for being quite good in the second half for sure. That we do need to give them credit for that because they did play very good defense. But also at the same time, the opportunities for us to win that game were there. We just didn't convert. Um, I don't think that's true. I think that Darko and them did really want to win the game last night. In fact, before the game, Darko said this in the pregame presser. He said they asked him, "Is this lawsuit make this more or something?" And Darko had a smile on his face, and he said, "No, this is just a game against the Knicks, and I want to win this game just like any of the other 82 games." He said that, but he was lying. He was lying. I could tell that it did matter in some ways, the lawsuit and him being personally named in it. But he didn't let it show, or he didn't say it or admit it. But I can tell in some ways, yeah, of course he wanted to beat them. So, yeah, let's not get it twisted. Nobody was trying to lose last night. They were definitely trying to win. It's just that the ingredients of the way the game went didn't add up to the Raptors beating the Knicks last night. In some ways, the Knicks played way better than us shooting wise, and they had good defense. And that was enough to beat us, along with some of our momentum stymieing by the refs early in the third. That really hurt us. When James Williams went to review a flagrant that wasn't there, that really killed the game, like preparation from halftime coming into the third quarter. Is very specifically done to kill any kind of momentum or defensive energy that the Raptors had coming from halftime. It's like Darko gets them amped up and said, "Listen, you're going to go out there and you guys are going to play perfect defense. You're going to guard the Knicks so well." And they come out and they do that for the first like maybe 30 seconds, a minute of the third quarter. And then boom, all of a sudden James Williams is killing the game by stoppage of play for 5 minutes just to go watch the video screen. So that's a huge part of what happened in the third quarter was they killed our momentum coming out of halftime that we had built up. And then we couldn't find our shot after that for the rest of the quarter. And the Knicks and Dante DiVincenzo just went off. So I think that they really sincerely trying to win. Now, I get it. If they played Otto more, maybe that would signal more that they're trying to win. Yeah. Mel Bester saying, as a Knicks fan, our players got better in the offseason. RJ got better after playing FIBA in the summer. This is for sure. For Canada, the issue we have is a lack of bigs and wings depth because we traded Obi. Cavs had the same problem Raptors had last season, and in playoffs versus Knicks and regular season versus Knicks, Cavs lacked a bench and weak bigs. This is an interesting point, and it's always interesting to hear perspective from people in other nations. I totally agree. This is why FIBA is so good for players. You really get a new maturity, you get new experience, you come back with new tricks. I know that RJ's probably got way better low post stuff from some of the things he was doing with us on Canada. He was awesome. In some ways, he was cold and he didn't shoot well for part of the FIBA, but at other games, he was absolutely dominant and really showing throwing around his weight in the low post different than he's done for you guys on the Knicks. And hopefully some of that will translate. I know the FIBA game's different than the NBA, and he can get away with doing some of that stuff in FIBA, and it won't work in the NBA, but some of it will. And he's more well-rounded, and he's obviously more confident, and he's definitely more mature. He was killing us at the beginning. He was absolutely carrying you guys right away with the scoring in the first quarter. Yeah, RJ's awesome. Like, honestly, I don't have any hate for him, honestly. And then Obi, yeah, that was a big loss for you guys in some ways. You guys are, Hartenstein did a really good job as your backup, though, last night. But, yeah, you could probably use another big or something just for a little bit more depth. I could see that. As far as we know, the gameplay is different in the regular season and the playoffs, and different things are going to happen in different ways. Yeah, we got to figure our bench out better if we are going to do any postseason this year, because we're going to need bench people if we're going to be anything in the postseason. That's for sure. Carlos saying, I think Darko is investing time on Malachi and Precious's potential. Yeah. And those aren't bad people to do it. Although I might throw my hands up on Malachi and say, fuck this shit. Why are we doing this still? But Precious, he needs to continue to get this investment himself. Mel Bester saying, Cavs regressed a bit and they lost a lot of draft picks for Donovan. And the Knicks are better than Cleveland, and we have a picks for years. Cavs mortgage is the future for Mitchell. I'll get behind this. And neutral Raptors Nation person will say, I will agree with what you're saying here. I think the Cavs are worse this year than they were last year. And I think it's weird having Strus and Yang with them now because they are defensive liabilities. And when we played them last Sunday, I feel like the same thing happened with all three of y'all, Cleveland, Brooklyn, and New York. The Raptors actually can dominate all three of y'all if the refs will allow us to. If the refs will cut our balls off and they don't allow us to do the things that we do the best with our athleticism, our length, then we're fucked. In some ways, we can't play to our strengths because James Williams won't let us. So that happened in all three of these games this week that were all close losses. I'm going to tell Raptors fans right now, the loss to Cleveland on Sunday, the loss to Brooklyn on Tuesday in the in-season tournament, and the loss to the Knicks last night, they're all similar. They were all games we were in there fighting, doing a good job, but it just didn't add up to winning in the end. There was manipulation in each of those games by the refs. And that's what I'm saying. We can play these teams if it's even. If we're not fucking being hindered by the referees, like bad whistle for us, we can fucking play them straight up and beat these teams. You know, that other Knicks fan thinks I'm crazy for thinking we're better than the Knicks, but I know we're more talented than the Knicks in some ways. In some ways, they don't have a guy like Scotty. Then that's talent, craziness talented. And OG is very talented. Siakam is very talented. We have a very talented threesome. Precious, huge talent. It's just that in some ways, these guys are in different schedules with what they've been building. The Nets, not so much, but the Cavs and the Knicks for sure. And they have cores that they've kind of had together for a couple of years. And in some ways, like Milbester said, we're doing a slight retweak since Fred left, and we have a new coach. So in some ways, they're further along with developing what they're doing with their systems than we are, both Cleveland and New York. And that's just part of it right now. We got to get our shit together, and then we'll be better. We'll be better. When we get more used to Darko's style and what he's trying to do, we're going to get better and better. I agree with this, that you guys are in better shape as a franchise than the Cavaliers. And that Mitchell trade is a big part of why. Big part of why. Now, I would be surprised to see him in your jersey soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I think that y'all are going to get a big name next summer. It could either be Joel or Donovan. I think you will get one of those two. G saying, I agree, Nigel. If Darko really wanted to win, he would have played the starters more to give themselves more of a chance. As Knicks were on a back-to-back to hot tire them out. Development seems priority. It's a balance. In some ways, we could say, all right, we lost, so it was a development night. If we win, then we're winning night. And that's all that determines whether we're doing winning or developing. That's kind of silly if you think about it. Oh, if we win, then we're going for winning. If we lose, oh, we're going for development. It's not really how it works. It's kind of all very gray area. Very gray area. Milbester saying, Knicks, hang on, it jumped. And yeah, I don't want any more comments, guys. Knicks just need wing depth, perimeter players, and they can beat Boston. Because last season, the Knicks were 3-1 versus Boston, but the Celtics added Holiday and Porzingis. Now we can't beat them. You know, I think that we can kick this shit out of the Celtics too. Like I've seen certain things that we do against them, the two games we played them, that are really good. And in some ways, we have more long, bigger guys than them, and we can bully them. The problem with the Celtics is that they're very good team defense. And they have like little guys come and attack you in pairs. And that's really what their whole defense is predicated on, is help and like scrappiness and dirtiness and just getting in there and coming quick to agitate. If you can beat those little guys one-on-one, you can kill them because they have a lot of little dudes that just can get posted on and beat down. And that's the problem. It's really kind of separating them from their system of help to beat them in mismatches. It's hard to do against the Celtics because they have their shit together really good. But that is a key to it right there. Mischief saying, I agree, Knicks can beat the Celtics. I want everybody to beat the Celtics. Go beat the fuck out of the Celtics, Knicks Nation. Please, please go beat the fuck out of them. I'll cheer you on every day in that matchup. Mel Bester is saying, the Knicks were good in the 90s, and we made the playoffs the entire decade. The problem was the Bulls and Jordan. 93 Eastern Conference Finals, we lost to them up 3-2. It's hard to win back-to-back. Yeah, it really is. Like the history, you guys were awesome. I actually really enjoyed the Knicks teams of the 90s. I was a big Oakley fan all along. Even before he got to Toronto, I was a fan of his. And I liked Anthony Mason. I like those old teams. I went to Florida State, just like Scotty Barnes and Charlie Ward. And I was very much a big Charlie Ward fan when he was the point guard for the Knicks. So, yeah, I have some good feelings towards the Knicks from the past, even if they're an Atlantic Division rival and the first team we ever played in the very first game of the NBA ever in 1946. But still, yeah, that was a golden era for you guys. And wow, what a great time for Knicks culture with the feuds with the Miami Heat and all that stuff. Oh, those fracases y'all had with Alonzo Mourning and Kurt Thomas. Crazy stuff back then. Jillian Moody's here. Good to see Jillian. I think I remember you from before. Good to see you return. We need a second OG and a second Pascal. I mean, in some ways, isn't the second OG and the second Pascal Scotty? In some ways, I mean, Precious could be kind of a second to those guys too. Melbester saying Tibbs isn't a bad coach, but he has his moments where he gets out coached by other coaches. But he's still a good coach most of the time. We just have the bad owner in Dolan. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tibbs has his blind spots, and he can be a little stubborn, and it can hurt him. But his philosophies are very strong, especially defensively, and he's a hard ass from what I hear. A lot of players in this league don't want to play for him because he makes them work. In some ways, that's a good thing that his reputation precedes him, and most people are like, I don't want to play for him because he's a tough ass. Jillian saying, not sorry, Fred's gone because the team is about more than one person. I'm with that. I'm not sorry Fred's gone either. It was the right time. It's the natural time. It's the time for him to get 43 million. Well, it's not time for him to be on my team if he's going to make 43 million. Yeah. Melbester saying we could have drafted Mikal Bridges and Scott Perry, who was our GM at the time, and did a decent job there. And the blunder he made was drafting Kevin Knox over Mikal Bridges, and Mikal played in Nova. Yeah, you guys would have the perfect set if you just hadn't drafted Kevin Knox. I know that's what y'all are trying to do. Become Villanova of the NBA. Because Bridges is the one guy you're missing right now, having Brunts, Hart, and DiVincenzo, and even that Ryan guy on the bench that doesn't even play. He's Villanova too. So it's like y'all are all Nova, and Kyle can respect that, and so can our guy Alvin Williams. Yeah, Kevin Knox sucks. Like I seen what he was doing. Like we played against him recently. He's a goon. And I'm like, holy crap, this guy's a jerk. And I'm like, oh, man, I think he's on the Wizards now. I don't remember where he is exactly. We did play him recently. He was a goon. Melbester's also saying a wing 3-and-D player that played with Brunson. Yeah, I know about Mikal and what he did. Yeah, that'd be interesting if you guys had them. Let's see. Melbester's saying Cam Johnson, too. All right, let's see. Jillian saying those stating that development means more than winning. This idea would equal a loss of money. Well, listen, in some ways we got to balance the future. In some ways you could just like try and win and win and win and get nowhere. This is the thing where people say, oh, we can't be a mid team because we're neither going to get better or we're not going to be worse enough to get a high draft pick to get better. In some ways I get it this way. It's like we don't want to be half-ass about it. In some ways it's okay to collect some L's in developing and trying guys that are young and are going to make mistakes and it may add up to losing because of the long-term really good things later. In some ways, you really do have to kind of think about, is this perspective a long-term or a short-term perspective? And I get it. You lose money because you may lose and people don't come to games and buy tickets. And that may be a short-term loss of money. But in the long term, your team may be way better later and you may make that money up later by the people coming back and everything like that. It's a tough balance to thing. And this is something that very much has been debated around Raptors Nation for over a year now, with the debate of development over winning, winning over development last year, and it continues this year as well. Monique saying, W Streamlex, keep at it as always. Good times, despite the outcomes. Let's keep climbing. There you go. Monique, give me the cutoff and just keep him on supporting and egging me on to continue doing what I'm doing here every morning. I appreciate you, Mo. I love you. Wayne saying teams have Curry envy and the NBA encouraged three-point shooting. Teams will go down with that strategy. Harden with Rockets tried. Over 30 missed threes. Let's see the Knicks and Celtics try it. I know what winning basketball is. Winning basketball is defense, rebounding, making your shots. And in some ways, they don't need to be three-point shots. They just need to be shots. And defense and rebound are the first things that will help you win something. So in some ways, I like the Raptors being more defensive oriented than offensive oriented than the rest of the league, even though the league is very offensive oriented. We're rebels. And in some ways, that is part of the problem, is that the league has made it so hard to defend anybody with the rules these days. There's no hand check. There's no this. There's no that. You can barely breathe on somebody. It's a foul these days. So the fact that the Raptors' strength is defense in this league, the way it is now, is actually super impressive. Super impressive. Jillian saying Malachi has been amazing lately, except for last night. He's had a couple of games where he's been good. I'll give him that. But once again, the consistency's not there. I just need him to score points. He's just not doing it. Milbester is saying Raptors aren't a bad team. You guys always give the Knicks trouble. Who can't forget last season? Siakam scoring 50 on us and we lose. Raptors just need help from refs and games and players. I appreciate that and respect back the other way. Like I said, I've said some kind things about your team today too. And I appreciate that. A lot of people just want to say we're shitty and just forget about us, but that's their mistake. Because honestly, everybody who underestimates us, they find out. And if you give us the proper respect and play us properly, you can beat us. But we catch teams sleeping because they think we're really what everybody says. And that's not true. We're a good team. And I appreciate you saying that. I do. Yeah, 50 points in Madison Square Garden. That's a legendary kind of thing. That's like Michael Jordan kind of shit. And Pascal did that last season, just last season. Stargate saying at Milbester, we don't need help from the refs. We just need the refs to officiate fairly. Yeah, I'm with that. That's all we ask. We just want it right down the middle. If we do get favor from the refs sometimes, and that does happen occasionally, I'm not upset about it. In some ways, I feel like it does balance things out sometimes, but not enough. There's way more negative towards us from the refs than the positive helping of the refs at times. In certain matchups, they will help us against the team we're playing against. And sometimes it's because the refs want to manipulate the betting for certain things. I'm sure some people lost money on that Phoenix game this week. They were very shocked by the outcome. And maybe the refs had bets on the Raptors to beat the Suns, and they cleaned house and made a shit ton of money because nobody expected that. In some ways, we can be a useful thing for gambling and degenerates that are in the NBA controlling the games, because the Raptors do have the ability to have teeth and come up and win games they are not supposed to. So it could very well be that sometimes refs may want the Raptors to win because of their financial interests. How about that? Because everybody will be like betting against the Raptors to win, and then all of a sudden they win. I wonder if anybody made some money on Wednesday night. I bet you they did. I bet you they did. Let's see. Melbester saying Toronto isn't far behind in the East. Just the right rebuild and some draft picks to players here, and they'll turn it around quick like the Orlando Magic are doing. They did a 180 from last season. Yeah, the Magic are on the rise. And I wouldn't mind being more like them with the direction we're going, for sure. For sure. In some ways, we're in a different place than them. And we may be a little bit further ahead of them on the down low. It's just that we need the right pieces in place. I think you're right. We get the right different changes. And I think they have more to do with our bench than our starters. I think our starters are good. If we can keep our starters on contract and keep them here, I'd be very happy. And just tinker with the bench guys and get better quality there. It's something that we've been having a hard time building since Tampa. Since we had to play in Tampa, we really haven't had a good bench. And I'm sick of it. I want to get a better bench, Bobby Webster. Please, please. Infamous saying, salute freaks. A bit late. The problem with the team is the bench, period. Our starting unit can compete with any team, and the drop-off is the bench. There, just this hammer it home, Infamous. With what I just said, he's saying it too. Wayne saying Chris Boucher as a perimeter defender has got to learn to stay on his feet, stop jumping around on fakes, and he will earn even more minutes. Great defending the rim, but a detriment otherwise. I don't know. He's not the only one who's jumping past shooters when he's running out too. I mean, Scotty and OG do it too. So it's not like it's just solely Chris. Milbester is saying Kevin Knox had a lot of potential, but they didn't develop him right, and they traded him for Cam Reddish with a pick to get RJ, his teammate from Duke, to lure Zion, but then Cam traded for Hart in a pick. Yeah. In some ways, I've really point to y'all's management over the years as not being the best at times. That in some ways, the management decisions by your GMs have not been helpful. And in some ways, I tell people, it's look, you can be critical of Bobby Masai here in Toronto, but you got to understand there's other examples that are bad. And they don't understand that. That's part of the reason why you guys would probably see our front office and be like, wow, they're doing good stuff mostly. I don't know. In some ways, our fans are spoiled and they don't really understand that the GMs can make mistakes more often. Like what you just described with some of the stuff that's happened with your franchise. because like the Hornets, I think they're a horribly run team. And I know the Knicks, there were different periods where they've been run well. I think they were run well in the 90s, but in the 2000s, they weren't run very well. And more recent years with Dolan, other than recently, they were not run very well. It's almost like very recently that the Knicks are finally getting their shit together, making smart decisions as a front office. And they're showing results on the court from that. Yeah, I agree with this. Those are some missteps right there, and those are missteps that if we had done them, I would be like, I understand why you're being critical of Bobby Webster. I understand why you're mad at Masai Ujiri. There's not missteps like that in our nation. In some ways, people are trying to make them up and manufacture them, but they're not really there, honestly. They're not like that, what he just described. Jillian saying, man, you must be exhausted. Thanks for your comments. Yeah, I am a little bit. It is 3 hours right now. It is a little bit. I'll finish it up real quick. Cool guy saying Pascal's 52 versus the Knicks in New York City. This is a signature game. And it'll be a part of Raptors history and MSG history. He's on a list with not a whole lot of players that are opposing players that have scored 50 in Madison Square Garden. It is a very prestigious list. And it is something to take sacred. That building is a very important building. It may be the most important arena in the history of sports on this continent. And in some ways, Madison Square Garden has a very big respect to it that it should be always held. It's not just in basketball. It's for concerts. It's for wrestling. It's for a lot of different things. The why MSG is they say it's the most premier North American arena in North America. They're right. And the Raptors would like to think Scotiabank Arena is up in there, and they are. They're up near the top, but MSG is number one. That's just how it is. I'll say this, is that building has so much history, and there is a certain prestige to it that's important. So let's see. Mel Bester. All right, no more comments after that last one you just wrote. I even saw videos of Knox training in summer offseason with regular players, not in the NBA, but in street courts with his do-rag playing great. Magic gave Knicks trouble last year, too. He's unfundamentally good. Like, I watch him play, and I'm like, dude, that guy has horrible fundamentals. And in some ways, that's really a problem. Mel Bester is saying Knox wasn't a bad player. He really did well his rookie year, and we had Coach David Fizdale, and then he regressed after. But he was our 3-and-D wing and good three-point shooter. Just few stuff he missed. Okay. And Mel Bester is saying same problem with Obi. We got Obi because they needed a power forward, and they traded Porzingis to Dallas after the fiasco that happened with him. He was to be a starter, but they had Randall. And Obi wasn't developed well either and hardly got minutes. He's just a fast break transition player coming off the bench for us to score and make dunks. He has gotten better. He did get better, but he didn't fit. Yeah, I could see that with you guys in your mix. All right, let me finish up. Once again, the Raptors have lost to the Knicks last night. We're 0-6 against the Atlantic Division. I truly feel like that's fishy as fuck. That in some ways, the back-to-back schedule against the Sixers, both the two times we played them, where we played them the second night of a back-to-back, was very calculated. And then the Boston games, the in-season tournament for sure, with Tony Brothers reffing that game, they wanted to make sure Boston won that game in Toronto, that first in-season tournament game that we played and went to. And then, the games this week with Cleveland, Brooklyn, and New York, all having fingerprints of referees on them in certain ways. It is what it is. The NBA wants to keep us at the bottom of the Atlantic Division. They want to make sure that we have a shitty start and hopefully that we just are horrible for the whole season. Well, let's defy that. Let's go through this really hard shit. And when we get to our easier parts of our schedule, let's excel and let's accelerate above 500 and be a real playoff team this year. I still believe that's what's going to happen. And I still believe that we're going to finish higher than some of these teams we played this week, especially Brooklyn and Cleveland. I think we will be above them. New York, we'll have to see. We'll have to see as the season goes on. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, that is fishy. Even Detroit has a win over a division opponent, and they only have 2 wins this year. The Raptors are the only team in the NBA right now of all 30 teams that is 0-6 in their division. And I'm telling you, it's a very manipulative thing with the schedule, and some of it is the referees. Yeah, he's saying, but the Knicks will be fine. We got Brunson, Hart, and DiVincenzo for a couple seasons. We got our first-round pick owned after the season. Yeah. And I complain to the refs on Twitter all the time. Cheers. There you go. Do it. They're officially on there. Well, you can officially get some DMs. All right, Milbester, I can't read anymore. I got to really finish up. I do want to finish up now. All right, guys, thanks for watching me. As I said, tomorrow is going to be a Sunday special report because it's a day off. So just a quick note, Serge Ibaka is the MVP of round 18 in the Turkish Airlines EuroLeague. He got 24 points, 13 rebounds for FCB basketball over there in Europe right now. So, Serge, you continue your excellence and great stuff. MVP of the round over there in what you're doing there. All right, tomorrow, Sunday special report. We're going to go over the Raptors, 20 games in the season, statistically, talk about the trends, talk about maybe where we're at with the crossroads of what's going to happen in the near future with our schedule, all kinds of stuff. Sunday special report, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. Raptors 20 games in, statistical analysis of the players and kind of the trends we're seeing, and maybe where we see guys that aren't performing up to the level they normally do, and guys that are playing way better than we've ever seen and doing better than they have before too. So yeah, Mel Bester saying it's nice meeting you. I hardly bump into Raptors fans. Toronto has a great franchise. A team after dinosaurs is cool. Respect, man. Respect, Mel Bester. And seriously, I appreciate your subscription and feel welcome to come in here anytime. It doesn't even have to be when we're playing around the Knicks. If you just want to talk some basketball with us, you're welcome here as long as you're respectful. And we can talk basketball. It's like we got to see the two different types of other fans that we get. We can get knowledgeable, intelligent fans that can talk basketball in an adult way, like Mel Bester, and then we will have jackasses like that other guy today too. So that's just how it is. Yeah. All right, y'all. All the best. I appreciate everybody. Have a great Saturday. Hope that everybody just has good things happening to them. All the best. Yeah. Yeah, you're saying with the Vince Carter days with the Nets and the Torontos, no Haas. Okay. All right, y'all. Thanks once again. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll be back at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. Remember, y'all, let's go Raptors. Woo!